Hello!
Hey! We are the Wednesday Club. Welcome to the Wednesday Club. It is Wednesday and we are clubbing. Oots.
Wrong Wednesday
I'm
Club.
in the wrong club.
All of us are in the wrong club if that's what we're doing. Hi, no, we talk about comic books every Wednesday. Yep. Oots. Is that the way the music goes?
Yes.
He's giving it. Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Chief. Thank you.
I like that Amy's like, yes, sure.
It's Uncy.
Anyway, my name is, where are we looking, right here? Hi, no, now we're here. Dude, Chief! My name is Matt Key. Close up, man. My name is Matt Key. You can find me on Twitter @TheMattKey. And I do a lot of other stuff on the internet we can talk about later. But right now I want to get to my other two lovely clubbers. Wednesdayers.
I'm Amy Dallen. Hello.
And I'm Taliesin Jaffe, or Executive Goth on the internet. And are you the internet's Amy Dallen, or the real internet?
I guess I do live there.
I mean, like, yeah, you've got a handle. What is your handle? I'm trying to remember.
Jody started it and I refused to participate.
Oh, okay.
What, Enthusiasm? You can't...
Oh, no.
Enthusiasm,
Enthusiasm is good.
Oh, but what's the other one? I don't know the other one.
Say it.
It's a long history of my friends being jerks. Internet sensation Amy Dallen, I
Yes.
think, is the...
Internet
But you are a
sensation.
sensation.
They've
and
been
you're
calling
on
me
the
that for
internet.
like 10 years.
Oh, before the
It
internet
was actually
existed.
my friend Jake
yeah.
started. He was like, media darling Amy Dallen, and I was like, you're just my roommate. This is...
Could have been like
That's not a thing.
Sierra Online sensation Amy Dallen. And it's just evolved.
Yeah. AOL Online.
I am the only one who remembers Sierra Online.
darling.
Okay.
AOL darling Amy Dallen.
CompuServe?
Wow.
I was once CompuServe's Amy Dallen, so we
Wow.
didn't use our real names on the internet back then.
No, back then
and
it
also I
was-
was a child, so that would have been dumb.
Yeah, back then it was like coming up with like your cool vampire name and LARPing on the internet.
Lord Handsome.
course it
That's
was.
my,
Oh
that's my
yeah.
cool name.
Oh yeah. No, I LARPed on the internet. That's
I
it.
was X-Men and Star Trek Sims. How do you like? But I did Sims.
It's
but, like,
you
what is
imagine
LARPing?
that somewhere in the world that there are a bunch of like really like near omnipotent vampires that spend all their time on a chat room.
Oh, that's great! So it was like an in-fiction chat room.
It was great. It was great.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I'm embarrassed to think about it now, but it was so much fun.
Well, like, because we did email Sims, we were writing, we were describing our actions, we were doing all that
yeah,
stuff,
no, you
or
would-
we were in chat rooms, like, playing out.
you would use
like,
colons to describe what you were doing, and
Yes.
then like but like.
But the idea that your
It was a
characters were in that chat room,
I know it was the worst. It was great.
that's amazing.
No, that's not the
it was
worst.
both
That's
the worst and the
incredible.
best.
That's incredible. And
Yeah.
as if I needed another reason to love Taliesin Jaffe, no.
Oh
I
yeah,
have
no,
one.
the vampire chat rooms were definitely a thing.
Yeah, it
IRC,
was-
AOL, or something else?
Started on Sierra Online and eventually moved to AOL, and then AOL got weird. But
Sierra Online. Wow.
Sierra Online was awesome.
Wow. Netscape. Let's do it. All right. So today we are doing a bit of a deeper dive into the Eisners. We did the Eisner overview episode a few weeks back, where we kind of glossed over what they are, talked briefly about some of the categories and everything. But today we're looking specifically at Best New Series in the nominations that are in that. And the nominations are Black Hammer by Jeff Lemire
We only have some of them, but it's not a commentary on the different books.
and Dean Ormston. That is from Dark Horse. We have Clean Room by Gail Simone and John Davis Hunt. That is from Vertigo DC. We have Faith by Jody Hauser.
Y'all know that I
Pear
have faith,
Perez
but I did not bring it today.
Marguerite
I haven't
Sauvage
downloaded it yet. Hold on.
From Valiant.
Yay!
We have it on
there
the
it
wall.
is.
Okay, there we are.
We have Mockingbird by Chelsea Kane and Kate. Last name?
Nimichik? Something like that. We're
Nimichik.
very sorry, Kate. I love your art.
Kate,
I
I'm
don't know how to
sorry
say
that I
your name.
can't pronounce.
And starting my favorite T-shirt meme of
Yeah.
early 2017.
Yeah.
Wait, well,
The Mockingbird 8 cover that they just put up, he was
Yeah.
commenting that not only is it a great new series,
Oh, no,
but it
that is
started
great.
our favorite T-shirt meme of
Yeah. I
early
want that shirt.
2017.
I kind of yeah.
I kind of want that
Yes.
I
shirt.
kind of want that shirt.
And finally, we've got Deathstroke Rebirth by Christopher Priest and Carlo Pagulian at DC. Pagulian? I'm terrible.
I'm gonna go with
I'm-
Pagulian.
Pagulian. All right, Pagulian. I like Pagulian.
Pulling up the art.
Carlo, I'm sure you're watching our show, and I'm telling you how to pronounce your name now. Pagulian. Anyway, those are the nominees.
I think it's 5 different wings of 4 different companies.
Yeah.
Right? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, we got Dark Horse, we got Vertigo, we got DC, Valiant, and Marvel. We've got one for each just.
It's a nice little spread across the universe.
Interestingly, we don't have an image book in Best New Series.
Which they've had a lock on that category for a little while.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm glad that there's something different.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I am actually. Did you look up some past winners in this category?
I did.
We
I had
They're
a hard
amazing.
time finding the nominees for all of them.
I would like. Okay, quick note to the Eisners. I love you. I love you so much. Get it together with your website. It is impossible to navigate the history of the Eisners. One ends up depending on Wikipedia, which one hopes is accurate. But you are the preeminent comic book awards, and I have now spent years struggling with the fact that no matter what you do to your website, it remains quite difficult to look up in an easy fashion. For instance, like when I looked a couple weeks ago, the link to last year's nominees on the San Diego Comic-Con website was broken.
Really?
You just can't go there anymore. The site's been moved or something. You're a big deal. Please have a website that reflects that.
We can hook you up with some web people who can,
I am saying this
help you
with
with
praise and love and the desire to point people to your website.
This is
Do
tough
not
love.
make us use Wikipedia. Okay.
Tough love.
End of Eisner's,
Tough love from internet sensation Amy Dallen. From Netscape darling.
Thank
Amy
you,
Dallen.
thank you for coming to camera too to have that conversation with us, Eisners.
You know what? Let's go a step further and ask our Wednesday clubbers. What do we have a name? Like, are they just the
I called them clubistas and it sounded weird.
clubistas?
But like, there's guys. What's our name? 'Cause
The
we're all
Wednesdays.
in the club.
Yeah, we're on
The Wednesdays.
The Wednesdays, I don't know.
the Wednesdays.
Or
The Dub C's.
Can I divert us again?
Oh
I'm
my
sorry,
God.
we
I
haven't
wish
even
you would.
Started
I
and
wish
I'm already
you
off
would.
track.
No, it's like sitting next to you is like one of the highlights of my week. Please. This is everything I wanted when we came up with the show. Divert.
We wanted to be distracted for 2
No,
hours.
but this is
Deeply.
the premise behind the show is this is what happens when you go to a comic book shop, and this is what happens. Like, we go in and
Verisimilitude.
there's a lot of chatting about all sorts of stuff.
Speaking of the name for all of you who watch the show and are in this club with us, the reason that I was trying to come up with a name is that I wanted to praise your amazing efforts in answering the creative prompt that somebody came up with. Those of you who are on our Discord started a writing challenge that you're doing every week. And like, it's fantastic. So they took, inspired by Jodie's episode last week and her story for the Vertigo anthology, which was pick one color and base a story around it. They were like, that's your prompt. And there were like 4 or 5 entries at the time that I looked on the Tumblr that they set up. I don't remember what it's called. Someone in chat has it. Someone in chat has the link. But it's like it's a Wednesday Club creative prompt that they're just doing like weekly. Then there are 4 or 5 entries. There's a fantastic one by Cillian that's a 4-panel comic based on this theme. Please keep up the great work.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
So I'm going to expose just how incredibly old I am.
You were about to say what I was going to say, so I'm excited.
I'll take it for you. I'll take the hit.
bullet. Take the bullet.
What's a Discord?
Oh my God.
It's a voice chat service originally used for like coordinating groups of gamers, but now generally used as like the way we all used message boards and things in the old days, where it's like a community hub, usually around like there's one for Geek and Sundry subscribers.
Is it audio based or is it more of like a BBS? Like
It's either way. That's what's interesting. There's audio based, and then there's a channel of voice responses where you can type back to people, and then there's a bunch of text only channels.
Do you remember IRCs?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Rec Arts comic books and.
Well, that's Records Comic Books is BBS's.
Oh, that's BBS because I used to be on like Milliways and like Bodtown back in the day when you had to like know a phone number and type it into a machine and then you would just get text.
Okay,
Oh
that's
man.
amazing.
Oh, Milliways was like the big one in LA. It was the BBS at the end of the universe.
There was a BB.
I don't think they had internet in Texas at the time.
Oh, they had them.
I'm going online to look up all of them.
Oh, you'll find Milliways. Milliways is a real thing.
Well,
but
that's
yeah.
awesome.
So apparently
I
there's a
also-
Discord for our show, which I didn't realize. Thank you for organizing and chatting with each other. And they got inspired and did this creative challenge,
That's
which
amazing.
is on Tumblr.
Once life calms down a little bit, I will find this Discord and at the very least lurk, if not actually become a public presence in this because I'm excited.
No,
about the discussion.
I definitely want to participate. Like I want. What was the? Do you remember what the writing prompt was? Did you say?
It
and I
was to
forgot?
choose the based on Jodie's CMYK story, like pick a color and
Pick a
write
color, so it was the
something
same
based
prompt,
around
okay.
that.
Yeah, I'm
I want to go
excited.
do that now.
I mean, one of the things that we used to do in my old Wednesday comic book group that I kind of miss is we would also always show each other's fiction, all the stuff we were writing, and so like that is actually a weird thing that does come out of reading comic books is that you end up doing a little bit of creative writing or art if you are so inclined, which is always nice.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your
All right, well, that's been our show today, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
We're out. Yeah.
I thought we would start with me reading like some of my favorite wins from the past.
Yeah.
I highlighted them for myself.
Who has won this category before?
Well, according to Wikipedia, since the Eisner website,
Pretty much useless.
the first winner that I could find is 1988 Concrete by Paul Chadwick.
Oh,
I don't know Concrete.
I don't know Concrete.
You're gonna love Concrete.
Pitch it. Or like
I've only
just
read
gentle.
a lot
I know
of
it's been
isolated
forever.
stories. He's a big rock man,
Oh.
and then he just like the ones I've read, like he goes out in the desert and he thinks about life, and sometimes there's crime or stories that happen around him, but it's like philosophical and beautiful, and he's got a good attitude, even though he is a dude who has been turned to not like The Thing. He's like smooth rock.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it, but I never read it. All right, Concrete. I'm putting that.
So that's the first one. And then in between then and now, we had 1996 Kurt Busiek.
We're going with Pusick, maybe?
Busiek?
I don't know.
Busey.
Sure, it's a good
Busey.
name.
Astro City.
Woo!
Astro City.
1999's Inhumans by Paul
Yes.
Jenkins and Jay Lee.
Nice.
Powers by Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Avon Oeming.
I've never heard of them, but I'm sure they'll do
2001.
well.
Yeah, Brian Michael Bendis. Never heard of him. That was 2001. 2002 was Queen and Country by Greg Rucka.
Nice.
2003 was Fables by Bill Willingham.
This is a good category.
This
Yeah.
is a very good category.
2005 Ex Machina, Brian K. Vaughan.
Nice.
All-Star Superman was 2006. That's the one and only Grant Morrison
Yeah.
and
Amazing.
Frank Quietly. 2007 Criminal, Brubaker. 2008 was Buffy. 2009 The Invincible Iron Man, Fraction. And
Oh,
Salvador
yeah, that was a
LaRocca.
good
That
run.
was a solid run, yeah. And here's the last 6 years of the Eisners. 2010 Chew by John Layman and Rob Guillory. That's Image. 2011 American Vampire by Snyder, Stephen King, Raphael Albuquerque. That's Vertigo DC. 2013 Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. That's
Never heard of
Image.
it.
Yeah, who? How did you describe it on the Facebook chat?
Oh, it's the comic book equivalent of waking up naked in a ditch by the side of a road in a town you've never been to, and just knowing that something happened, but you're not entirely sure what.
What?
Yeah, no, that was my reaction.
That was a long walk.
But listen, it makes sense when he explains it a little bit better.
Okay, yes, please.
I don't remember what I said anymore. I don't even remember how we got to that conclusion. Which is kind of the point.
I believe that you said, how else would you describe
How else would you describe-
How else would you describe the feeling that you get when you read Saga?
The emotional bust that hits you?
Yeah, but I'm like,
where
how
you're
did
like,
I get here?
How did I get here?
What's
What
going
is this?
on?
This is amazing. What is this?
Why do I feel like I should have a hangover, but weirdly I just feel kind of good? Yeah, this whole thing is and where is this place?
Getting more convincing by the second, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, thank you.
No, I had the same reaction. I was like, Taliesin, I don't often disagree with you on
As someone
anything,
who has woken
but-
up in a ditch in a town he's never heard of before,
The troublesome part was, yes, how quickly that specific analogy came to you.
That's yeah, and a couple of my friends actually. That's like, if you've ever heard Yordi's Rockstar story, that's never mind. Anyway,
All right. Moving on.
Moving
2014, Sex Criminals by Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky. 2015 was Lumberjanes, Shannon Waters, Grace Ellis, Noelle Stevenson, and Brooke A. Allen. That's Boom, boss. And 2016 was Paper Girls, Brian K. Vaughan, and Cliff Chang. It's a solid list.
So that's a very solid list. There's a lot happening in there.
Yeah. If you ever wonder yourself, there's not enough comic books for me to read. I wonder what I should go read. Just look at this list.
Literally any of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you've already read that, just pick one of the writers or artists and go find something else.
Like Powers is such a fascinating read. The Iron Man book is such a fascinating.
That was a really
read.
good one. I'm trying to remember exactly what.
I wonder if
I
Astro
remember
City
the
holds
covers
up.
on that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I never got into Astro City too much. I really wanted
Astro
to.
City is a lot. It was. I think it was very much. I think it was a bit of a product of its day. I know that they're still doing new stuff, and I know that it's slowed down
I
a
went
lot.
back and read a one-shot to sort of get a taste for it, and it knocked my socks off.
Really?
So I haven't read the book, but
it's
I have
possible
a
it's
feeling
aged
it does.
really well. I can't I definitely got a feeling it's one. The stories are very big and very iconic. They had the I don't want to spoil it. Never mind. The weird religious Batman, right? That was one of the Astro City characters. Yes.
I don't think I've met him yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of them.
I tried one chapter and was like, I don't get it.
And
I should probably go back and read it.
The
though.
book had a very
Because
big
it's-
problem with coming out on time, if I recall,
Oh, yeah.
for very reasonable reasons, if I recall.
Well,
as
the artwork was beautiful, and I do remember
The
that.
artwork is stunning. It's a kind of another universe's superheroes, and it's a little bit. It's got a little bit of that golden age Shazam kind of vibe, but given a modern tint.
I'm glad that you said that. Taliesin, because we can use that as what we call a segue
Woo!
into
That's the
business
segue is that thing that we stand on where you
to
don't
talk
have to
about
pedal.
Deathstroke. I'm just kidding. To
I
talk
pulled
about
it away because behind
Black
it
Hammer.
was
No,
Black
I know.
Hammer.
Actually,
I
yes,
saw
it's
I was
such a-
helping.
I saw that's what you're doing. I made a joke that I was the idiot.
No.
Black Hammer.
This is a good segue.
So you know who's pretty amazing? Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, who knew? Who knew? So before we get into Black Hammer, let me give you some of Jeff Lemire's credits. He did Essex County, which I've never read.
I need to read Essex
I haven't read
County.
it either.
It was the
But,
indie
like-
book that kind of put him on the map.
Yeah, so that's where he started. He also did Sweet Tooth,
Sweet Tooth is wonderful.
Animal Man.
Oh,
the new he
God,
did the
that
New 52 relaunch, and that
was
was
amazing.
like
With
New
the red
52.
and the-
Yeah, New 52 had some problems, but they had
There were
a
some
lot of
gems.
shiny spots. And Animal Man was one of them.
Animal Man was
Jeff
a
Lemire did
fantastic
that
read.
book. Green Arrow also was pretty good in the New 52. Again, Lemire. He's now also done all new Hawkeye. I think he went from Green Arrow to Hawkeye at Marvel, like pretty immediately. Extraordinary X-Men is his current run. I think he's also currently working on Old Man Logan, and he was also working on Moon Knight, though I don't know if that's current.
Extraordinary just wrapped up. He's been all over.
I've
He's been
never,
all
I've
over
never
Marvel
read
and
a bad.
DC.
I haven't read a bad issue of Moon Knight in like a decade. So
Yeah, he's such a weird character. Speaking of incredibly weird segue, did you see the Jaden Smith Batman video that he did?
No, I didn't. I heard
What?
last
about
week.
it.
So Jaden Smith, it's Jaden Smith, right?
I don't know. I'm only vaguely aware of
He has a
anything
son named
outside of my
Jaden.
own bubble.
I'm 99%
So he did
sure.
a Batman video, and it came out last week, and it's got millions of views. But he was playing Batman walking around Hollywood and Highland, but wearing a white suit, and he had a rap song that was like Batman, 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 and it was like, but he's wearing a white suit, and I'm watching it with like the Smosh game guys, and I was like, should anyone tell him that he's just Moon Knight right now?
You're technically Moon Knighting.
You're just Moon Knight right now, like.
I love.
Did it have bat ears? Was it like
No, it was a
suit,
bat
but white?
suit, but just white, just pure white,
Just basically Moon Knight.
which is Moon Knight. And
Oh,
it's like,
picture.
Oh,
yeah.
there we go.
I mean, he's clearly got the ears.
He's clearly got the ears, but at the same time,
Immediately, my first thought is
Moon Knight.
which cowl is that? I don't think that's the Panther cowl.
Kind of Keaton-y.
Yeah, it's a little cute.
it is a little Keaton-y, yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
more angle. Yeah.
that amused me to know, and I was like, should someone tell him that he's just cosplaying Moon Knight right now?
I get the like from what little I know of him, I get the distinct impression that he may know Moon Knight, that he's perhaps at that level of nerd at this point.
Yeah, he probably is.
Probably
he
knows
is.
Moon Knight.
All right.
Cosplay is for everyone, including James Smith. Apparently.
including James Smith. So, Black Hammer is...
What's this book about?
Yeah.
Oh
let's
my
talk
God.
about this book. It's an amazing cover.
I didn't know that I needed this book until I read this book, and then I was like, oh my God, I need more of... I want this book to be done. I want to be able to read all of it tonight. I have deadlines to meet. I want to screw all of them and read the entire story. It's amazing. So it starts off with so that's the cover of well.
Oh yeah, that we were. I'll put it back.
But it starts off and you meet this guy named Abe Slam. He's an older man and he's on a farm, and you very quickly get the idea that something's not 100% right with this farm. There's something going on. It's a comic book. You know what you're getting into. But then he goes to talk to his little girl, who seems jaded beyond her years, and then she flies away. And then they go into the house where there's a giant red alien and a walking, talking, like Will Robinson robot.
Who's
And
making breakfast.
Who's making breakfast and complaining about it the whole time. And his name is Talkie Walkie, and the alien's name is Barbalian.
Uh-huh.
And that's how I pronounce it, Barbalian.
I would say Barbarian.
Yeah, right? He's like Conan the Barbarian, but also an alien, so Barbalian. From Mars. And you very quickly discover that this is a book that is tying back to sort of like Golden Age, kind of Age of Heroes, like maybe early Silver Age, but like I was kind of reading the Golden Age of Heroes in there.
I would almost say pre-superhero, like pulp. I think pulp.
There's a lot of Golden and Silver. I mean, Barbarian has a lot of Martian Manhunter in it.
He's Martian
That's fair.
Manhunter, and then
And
Abraham
Gale has
Slam
a lot
is
of Shazam, obviously.
Yeah. Oh well, yes.
yeah, she's like Shazam in reverse though, like which is such a cool,
I'm spoiling
like,
everything because you find out the stories one at a time, and it's so beautiful the way it unfolds.
But you know what? Like we should just say, like we're probably gonna spoil a few things in this episode.
Oh well,
like,
it's the Wednesday Club. We spoil.
But I know, but we kind of can't talk about it without kind of spoil. Like all we can do is like
That's fair.
Like, we
Well,
can't really talk about it
it's
too
a little
much.
it's a little bit of it's a mystery house. There's a group of people that are stuck in a place. The group of super creatures or interesting creatures that are stuck in a place. We don't really know why. We don't really know how. It's got a little American Gothic vibe. It actually reminded me. I'm going to throw this out there. It reminded me a little bit of Top 10. If you guys remember the Top 10 book, I got a little bit of that Top 10 vibe, which was an Alan Moore.
You mean 2000's Best New Series winner
Was
by
that
Alan Moore?
2000's Best New
Nice.
Series winner by Alan Moore?
Yep, 2000.
Top 10 is a really interesting book that was a
Thanks, Chief.
city that was entirely superheroes, and it was about the cops in a city of superheroes where everybody in the city was a superhero.
It's a great book.
Every single person. So it was just like a Hill Street Blues. The superheroes who decide to be cops in a world where everybody's a superhero, and it was a fun, weird little book. But like there were a lot of oddball characters, and their powers are very oddball. And I feel like Black Hammer has a lot of oddball going on.
It really does. One of the reviews that I read for it, which I thought was like pretty accurate, was that the superpowers aren't even really necessarily second to the characters. They're like, who cares? Like it's like they can do these things, but that's so far from the point. Like the point is, they are these characters and they're dealing with this weird event. And the event is they went up against this thing called the and this is still like a mystery in the book as far as I've read. They went up against this basically Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, right? And the anti-god comes to Earth, very much an analog to the anti-monitor, right? And they beat him. They beat the anti-god, but at the expense of something happens to the hero known as Black Hammer, and they all get shuffled off to an alternate Earth where superheroes don't
Where
exist.
they seem to just be stuck in rural Louisiana.
They literally can't leave the town.
They cannot leave the town, and they do not know why.
Yeah.
They're stuck on this farm in this tiny little town, and they've been there for 10 years, and they're all going nuts.
It's everything I liked about the Lost TV series without any of the stuff I didn't like about the Lost TV series.
Yes.
Well, because it's also intricate and intimate and like emotionally truthful.
Very much so.
Like you get the feeling. I haven't read Essex County, but as far as I know, like it's Jeff Lemire could write a book that's just about lonely people on a farm without any supernatural elements and make it incredibly compelling.
Yeah.
It's just that he's also playing with all these tools of fiction. Like, so when the main character is going to talk to the lady at the diner in the town, there's nothing superheroic about that. It's just a beautiful conversation about like a lonely older dude who has kind of a secret but likes this girl. Like, and she's dealing with her terrible ex and whatever, and it just
And he happens to be the chief of police and is a total jerk.
It's great. It's a really.
It is so good.
We're not going to be talking about a bad book today. Like
No,
we're not,
we are
like
not.
there's nothing that we're talking about that
We
isn't
are
going
not.
to be just delightful. You don't get
I was
to
so
the
happy
Eisners
to-
by not being delightful.
Yeah. I was so happy to finally sit down with this one because it has been like a runaway hit at our shop. And
Has
I
it?
kept being like, I need to read Black Hammer. I need to read Black Hammer. I need to read Black Hammer. And then I sat down and I was like, oh shit. This
So
is
good.
really good.
Yeah. Like, that was the first book on this particular list. Like, I mean, I'd already read Faith and I'd already read some of Deathstroke, but like, this was the first one that I sat down that I hadn't read. This is the first book that I read of that list. And I was like, oh, why have I not been reading this for 10 years?
Yeah, I read it a month ago. That was I didn't get to it in our most recent push just because of life in the universe.
And you'd already,
And there were
you're already
books on
familiar
the
with
list I hadn't read yet, so I was like focusing on Deathstroke and on a couple of the other on the Clean Room.
I loved it, and like we've already spoiled enough, but I will say, Colonel Weird is one of my favorite characters of all time, and so
I think
I don't want to say anything,
if you are intrigued by the notion of a book that involves a character named Colonel Weird, I think you're already on board.
And you're right. It's
Yeah.
definitely reaching back to like pulp archetypes as well as gold and silver age superheroes. But like,
I really got a bit of Doc Savage and a little bit of like there's a bit
Well,
of
it's
that.
like Colonel Weird is very much like Adam Strange meets Doctor Strange, kind of, because he's got that whole weird dimension thing. The what is it called? The ghost zone, the parazone.
That's just a nice
give
little
it to it.
animal,
Just show
animal
the
man.
art.
Yeah,
just
just show it off.
sample panel, page,
Sample
cover.
panel.
Look at all of us holding it together because we're all friends.
Look at that.
God, such good art.
Just beautiful.
And so weird and out there, and I love every single second of it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's got everything. It's got beautiful art, great dialogue.
And then there's Madame Dragonfly, who like, what is going on with her?
This page just breaks your heart.
I know. I know.
Madame Dragonfly.
Here,
I don't know
go
what
back
her
to that
name
page.
is.
I just want to like here. So I'm not going to show it. I'm going to do this.
Because I really loved not knowing this was
Everyone,
coming.
when you get to this page, know that we love that page. Don't show it. We don't want to show it. We just there's a preview. You couldn't see what was going on, but hopefully you'll recognize it when you get to it. Like for real, go get this book today, and read the hell out of it.
Let's sample 2 pages.
Oh God, that art. Oh, it's like. Tell me you don't get like an immediate like old school EC Comics like Swamp Thing kick out of that.
So
God,
you
that's
get
beautiful.
Welcome to Black Hammer. And our little cranky kid, Gale, is here, and somebody arrives. I'm doing this based on the monitor, so I'm backwards. Brooding again, Gale? Yep. Want to join me? Don't mind if I do. I could use a good brood. And they just let that panel sit there. Look at how much space in that panel is not devoted to their figures.
Just
look at how much it's this environment
Roof
that they're
and shadow.
sitting in and reflecting on, and the shadows that they're casting. Look at the solitude and the togetherness that you get out of that.
They're in it together, but they're so far apart.
oh, so much, so much.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Comics. They're great.
they're and like that's.
Comics, they make you feel stuff.
I would say that this one should win, except we've got 4 other
We've only
amazing
just started.
choices. Yeah, I don't know if we should say anything else about it. Is the chat asking? Look, come on.
The chat is actually not
And
asking
then the
a ton of
throwback
questions.
pictures
Dulu.
are just so delightful as well.
Yeah,
The
like
chat-
So they will
every single.
flash back to their lives in the city that they used to protect, and you get beautiful.
The chat is mostly going, yep.
Oh, they all know. They're
like,
yep, all right.
yeah, that's very Swamp Thing. Yep, that's very much a Swamp Thing vibe. Oh yeah, no, that's gorgeous.
And there's a Swamp Thing analog. It's
Yeah.
so good. We're gonna start spoiling a lot more if we say anything more. So
And Amy is the best at reading comics.
You really are.
You are.
I could learn so much.
No, for real, every single time you start to read a comic, like on our show, I'm like, I'm so engaged. And it's like, I've already read it, but I'm just like, yeah, read it, Amy, read it.
There's stories that live in our heads.
No, I know, but you read them very well.
I'm cool.
Take the compliment, Darren.
No, look over there.
Never.
Internet sensation Amy Dallen.
God, everyone is the worst.
I'm gonna it's
All
hard
right.
not to.
Do we want to talk Clean Room, Deathstroke, Faith, or Mockingbird?
Let's see. I'm kind of curious what the chat says. The
Chat.
first one I noticed on
First one you
chat.
shout out.
Not that we're not going to talk about all of
Mockingbird,
them.
Faith, Deathstroke, or Clean Room. We're going to talk about all of them. Who do you want to hear next?
Good answer for In the Under. Ask if Black Hammer's art style changes a lot throughout the series. This is a nice example where I believe they've had a consistent team throughout.
It seems like they have,
Jeff
the-
and I
Jody is putting in a vote.
for Deathstroke.
Jody, we are going to try so hard to be objective, and we're going to fail.
Miserably. Because you had
We're
me
so
at Chris
sorry.
Criswell.
I mean, come on.
Chris Criswell is
Did you
is the best.
did you guys get a chance? Did you read the mini and then go on to the ongoing? Because this is a complicated situation.
I've read the mini,
Yeah.
and I've only read like 2 of the ongoing
Okay.
because that's all the time I had
Yeah.
for it. Because
So
I
this-
didn't know
there was
until you texted us last night that it was. I was like, oh no, I've been resting on the laurels of having already read the mini. Oh no.
Obviously, like there's some confusion in the categories here because Faith was a 4-part limited series, and the nominations for Best Limited are a totally different category, at least at this point. And so the thing that is currently nominated is the Faith ongoing, the ongoing series of Faith.
I think this is the correct cover.
Who's the artist on that? If it's Per Perez, it's the right one. If it's Francis Portela, it's the miniseries.
Portella's the miniseries. I pulled
Who
up the
did
wrong
an
one.
amazing job, but at least based on this nomination, Per Perez is nominated, which makes me think that this pertains specifically to the ongoing series. The truth is that it is this Faith run, I believe, is what's really being honored here, which I'm guessing is the reason that if you go out and, I meant to tell you all there was a humble bundle. There was a humble bundle full of Eisner nominees. And it had
Is
the
it
Faith.
gone?
I think it ended
think-
today. Someone check the time. It might still be going on. But it had the Faith miniseries in it. I think because Valiant was like, well, Faith
Start
is
here.
nominated. If you want to start with the limited series. And we totally approved of that. Both artists are excellent, but
Only one is
that's your
nominated.
disclaimer.
So- and you mentioned limited series. I've got that list pulled up, and we are going to touch on this. And I think
doing
you're
that?
probably going to lead it. Because the limited series is Archangel by William Gibson, Michael St. John Smith, Butch Guick, Geis and Tom
Geis?
Palmer. Geis, thank you. And Tom Palmer, IDW. Briggsland by Brian Wood and Mark Chatter. That's from Dark Horse. Han Solo by Marjorie Liu and Mark Brooks at Marvel. Kim and Kim by Magdalene Visaggio and Eva Cabrera. That's Black Mask. And Tom King and Gabriel Walta's The Vision from Marvel. Which is why I think you may want to take lead on that one.
Oh, when we get into that one, yeah. Well, I think we're gonna have the whole chat read, at the very least, read The Vision, if not read all these books. We should really read we're gonna read all these books, but like, it's hard not to be excited by The Vision because it's such an oddball.
So good.
I'm
it's
always
one of the best Marvel books I've read in a long time.
It's one of the best Marvel books. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's limited series, and that's what you're talking about. So I just wanted to bring that up because there's so much goodness out there.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about best ongoing.
Yeah, no. Best continuing is Astro City, Killer Be Killed, Mighty Thor, Paper Girls, and Saga.
And for some reason, a bunch of the best books this year are in the best for teens category, and I don't really understand how that happened. Best for teens.
Is that? That's okay.
We are looking at a phone right now. That is
Best for kids, best for teens, Bad Machinery, Batgirl, Jughead, Monstrous,
really.
Trish Trash, and Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Wow, best for teens.
Several of those were in the best new series category last year, and they're in best for teens this year, which is sort of odd. I can kind of see it. It's a little odd, like Batgirl's in best for teens, but Deathstroke is in best new, and Deathstroke obviously is full of violence. And anyway, I don't know how that happened.
I'm gonna have a lot to say about Deathstroke before this episode's up, though. So that's good.
Did Chad ever give us a pick?
Oh, they said alphabetical.
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 I like it.
Yeah.
So we started with Black Hammer.
Black Hammer, Clean Room.
So
Clean Room. All right.
Let's talk about Clean Room.
Thank you, Chat.
Good work, chat. So Clean Room. I don't even know where to start with this one. Here's so on all of these, I wrote like the best summary I could give.
Oh no, yeah, bring it! I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Okay, spoilers for Clean Room.
I know I usually don't curse on the show. I try to keep it clean, but I know we also don't have to. So here's what I wrote in my summary for me. What the fuck is even going on in this book? It's amazing. Heaven is below and hell is above? What? What the fuck is Clean Room? WTF, and I wrote it like 3 times throughout my summary.
That's the plot of the book is what the fuck is the Clean Room?
No, I know, and I love that. Like I got to the end of the first book here and was like, I don't know what I just read, but I can't wait to read more of what I just read.
There are a generation of comic book readers who were brought up on Vertigo, where Vertigo was kind of the beginning of their reading vocabulary and comic book vocabulary, and this book is such a throwback on a lot of levels to those books that got all those goth kids and punk kids.
It's detailed, complicated, terrifying fiction. It's world building. Like I think a thing all of this year's nominees really have in common is like you read these first issues and you're like, there's a whole world here. Yeah. I can't wait to know more about it. I can't wait to know how it
stories.
fits.
Oh god, I forgot about that. I'm not showing that. That's
Gail Simone has a messed up brain.
Yeah, she really is. She's a wonderful, nice lady, but she's
an amazing lady with an infinite good, like...
There are some issues here
it's so good.
that I don't even know.
It actually it reminds me a lot of the early '60s prisoner television series and kind of that same tone of
just a little bit more horrifying.
The ostensible plot here is that a journalist who's gone through some shit is investigating.
Chloe Pierce.
Named Chloe Pierce is investigating this sort of extremely popular, kind of self-helpy organization, like a best-selling book that people are like, this will change your life. But that sort of has borderline disastrous effects on some of the people around it. And so this journalist is trying to get to the bottom, and therefore that's the, like, what the fuck is the Clean Room? Yeah. Is kind of the question that she gets very early on and is holding on to as she tries to investigate what this organization is, who this lady is who's leading it, and what is causing all of this total insanity.
By the way, while we're talking about
Chloe!
Yeah, that's Chloe Pierce. She's one of the main she's the main protagonist of this book at this point, as far as I can tell.
Although when we meet her, she is giving up on everything.
Yes,
which I thought was a really interesting way to meet her, because you're like, well, nowhere to go but up.
Nowhere to go. Like that's an interesting protagonist. I want to follow that. Yeah. But also warning, some of the pictures that we may show are
very violent,
sexual. Like, there's definitely NC-17 section of our show right now.
Yes.
This is not in the 14s category for a reason.
No.
Yes,
Not
this
that
is
kids
barely in
won't be
the
reading it
adult
anyway.
version. Like this is like super adult.
It is the same kind of like terror and paranoia though. I often like when people ask me what comic book they should start with. My first question is always, "What's your favorite TV show or movie?" Like, tell me what kind of TV
same.
shows or movies you watch. And if someone said, "Oh, I'm a big fan of The Prisoner," this is this year's book. That'd be like, if you're a Prisoner fan, welcome to the clean room. Just
Nice.
like
How often does someone say The Prisoner?
in my group of friends.
I was hoping that was your answer.
It's just you and Nico Minoru.
Man, that show. That's a great show, man. We may have to. Are you? Have you
I've
ever?
heard of it many times, and I know I should.
I've seen
it.
No,
I know-
no,
I've
that's
seen an episode or two. I've never
There
seen
is
the whole
nothing that
series.
delights me more than someone saying I've never seen The Prisoner, because that means we get to sit down and watch. We can do a double feature. We'll watch The Prisoner and the Josie and the Pussycats movie.
Yeah, because I still have to
Oh,
watch Josie.
amazing! Yes.
Weirdly, good double feature.
Huh? Interesting.
What?
Yeah, they have some stuff in common. There's like 3 people in chat who are going like, "Yep." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Those people are awesome.
they are."
I now associate Prisoner indelibly with the Runaways.
Yeah, I can
Because
see.
it's the thing that Alex loans to Nico.
It's-
And Nico's where like he's when
That's
all the
right.
kids who know each other are complaining, like when they're all these kids whose parents are friends, like they get thrown together once a year and they don't have much of a bond at the beginning of the book. And Alex is like, I hate these kids, blah blah blah. And Nico hasn't given me back my Prisoner DVDs. And she and there's this great moment right at the beginning of Runaways where she shows up because she's in the year since they haven't seen each other, she's had like when you're a teenager, sometimes you're like, this is the year I discovered fashion. She started sewing her own clothes. So she gets like super beautiful, shows up in this amazing like goth outfit and goes, I loved The Prisoner. And he's like, hi.
Hi.
And it's just one of
I
my
was-
favorite character intros.
Oh no! Like lending the Prisoner DVDs when I was a teenager was definitely like on like the edge of flirting. I was basically like awkward nerd flirting. It's like, yeah, it's like,
Want to read The Prisoner?
I'm not a number. I'm a free man.
So you guys are ahead of me because I started Clean Room and
Yeah.
had to tear it away from myself because I time managed poorly and had like a
We're
ton
all
of other
with you.
stuff to do. So I'm just getting into it, but like,
Ooh.
wow.
Ooh, it's so we will be careful to not give any spoilers. I read
That's
that
okay, I have it
entire
coming.
first book. But like going back to the organization, I kind of saw the organization. It's Astrid Mueller. She's like one part protagonist, one part antagonist. Like I'm not sure where she lies, and that makes it even more exciting and more fun. But I saw her as sort of like her organization is The Secret meets Tony Robbins meets Scientology. Like I kind of saw her organization as a strange.
Meets Lovecraft.
Yes.
Oh, it gave me a little bit
baby of those 4 things.
I
Yes.
just rewatched In the Mouth of Madness, and it gave me a little bit of that too. Of like,
Yeah.
there's like that weird self-help cult vibe where just things are not quite right.
Something's not
And
right.
the actual clean room. Yeah, no,
There's
yeah.
very much like powers we do not understand at work here that we probably should not be messing with. That comes
Yeah.
in very early.
It comes in very early that there's some weird demonic thing that Astrid somehow
involved with.
is involved with. And we don't know to how far that degree goes, but that's where all the violence comes in. That's where all the sex comes in. And like by the end of the book, like some of the world building, some of the little seeds that they've thrown in that you forgot about. Like there was one, like I don't know if you remember the one where like there was that one weird scientist dude that they went and tracked down.
Yeah.
Like I forgot about that guy. I totally, and then I got to the end of the story. I was like, oh, that's right, that guy. Oh, what? Yeah, it is
So many of these books this
good.
year are actually so mystery based that it's a little difficult to talk about them. I will admit. Other
Yeah.
than just kind of doing the
Didn't you love finding this thing out or wondering this other thing?
That was
Yeah.
so good.
No,
Yeah.
but it is tricky because we don't want to give spoilers in any capacity, but like kind of intrinsically we can't help it with books like that where it's like, well, I'm trying to keep it to like what did I learn in the first 2 books? Because that to me is kind of the limit.
Sure,
You know?
and like especially in a book that really relies on the audience confusion. I know that there are people who don't like to be confused reading a book.
But there's a difference between feeling like you're confused when you're supposed to understand things and and mystery.
Sure.
Where you're like, I'm not supposed to know how these things fit together yet.
Yeah.
I can't wait to figure
There
it out.
are people who can't feel the difference between that though.
Oh, yeah?
Definitely there. I like those
can-
friends who 10 minutes into a movie go like, who's that? Like, what are they doing? Like, they haven't said yet. And they're like, sit down, let it unfold.
I'm one of those people when it comes to comics, like
Not normally you don't like missing puzzle pieces.
I don't like missing puzzle pieces. And it's not even that. It's if like with a book like Clean Room, I can accept it. It's like, oh, I'm not supposed to know this yet. But in a book like Deathstroke,
I knew you were going to go.
Confusing to me
those
because
first
I was
couple
like,
issues are a little bit of a slap.
am I supposed to be confused because this is a DC book? Like I'm not, and that doesn't mean like that the narrative can't be timey-wimey and wibbly-wobbly, but like I wasn't expecting that, and it's Deathstroke, and I was like.
I think we're there alphabetically. Are we on Deathstroke?
We actually
we are on Deathstroke if we want to leave Clean Room behind.
Speaking of segues.
All right. If you've already read Black Hammer, read the living fuck out of Clean Room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make sure you're up on your prescriptions. Make sure everything is good at home. Sit down and read Clean Room.
Because like both of the if I held both of those books in my hand, I wouldn't know which one to go to first.
At one point, I want to get like the double iris contacts and just wander around a Comic Con with an axe and a transit. Do you read Gail Simone?
Yeah, I fell madly in love with both of those books.
It's amazing because for those we've talked a little bit about Gail Simone in here before.
Yeah.
She has a long profile as a superhero writer.
She does,
but she also has this like deliciously twisted imagination, which she has used to great effect in books like Secret Six.
And as Mommy Panda also pointed out, she is awesome on Twitter. So
she's
Gail is a world class Twitterer.
Take Gail Simone's Twitter with a giant grain of salt, but also go follow her immediately because
with a salt lick.
She's just she's like this weird benign form of a troll all the time, where she's like. Her Twitter is an experience. Like, for instance, people used to ask her questions about the Arrow TV show because she wrote Black Canary for so long. They would ask her questions, and she didn't watch the show. And so people would be like, what's your opinion on Olicity, which is one of the big ships? And so, since she does not know the show and has no opinion, since Felicity's not even a character
in the books,
like she is, I think she is now.
She is now.
Gail Simone eventually, I think, stopped trying to answer the questions earnestly and just started having nonsense opinions. Like, I hate Olicity, or I'm the biggest Olicity fan in the world, or blah, 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 or just non sequiturs.
Go read my book.
Well, it's almost never go read my book. It's just like the Purple King is monkey. Like, it's amazing. She's got a whole thing with pictures of Rob Schneider. She recently tweeted a series of reviews of the Mummy movie without having seen the Mummy movie that were just like, the Mummy movie is the sound of 3 hands clapping out in the parking lot, but like weirder because it's Gail Simone.
Just like weird Dadaist poetry about the Mummy.
She will also go into
and she hasn't even seen it.
No, just weird Dadaist poetry.
She will also her Twitter's also full of valuable wisdom and knowledge and like serious discussions of important topics in comics. But be prepared for the other element of it, which is just weird Twitter in one woman.
Oh yeah.
It's the most delightful.
All hell Eris, all hell Gail.
Oh man, yeah.
So yeah, she's always had the multiple voices. Like she started out writing Deadpool. Like she's got a weird sense of humor.
Yeah.
But she now like. In these creator-owned and independent kind of works that she's been doing for the last couple of years, she can sort of give free reign to that like world building and like twisted imagination, and it gives us books like Clean Room.
Oh my god, it's so, like you were talking about it a couple weeks ago. Like, yeah, it's kind of nightmare fuel, and I was like, well, I can't wait to read this, and I was like, this is total nightmare fuel. This is amazing.
This is pure unleaded nightmare fuel. Directly, from the earth.
Taliesin, you and I were talking before the show, and you. I ended up really loving the Deathstroke book, but I struggled with it at the top. But you did not. So,
no, I also struggled with it a bit. Okay, a couple things. I'm going to go a couple things about Deathstroke.
Our next nominee is Deathstroke
Rebirth by Christopher Priest.
Carlo
Pagulayan, and that is DC.
Yeah, whose names are listed on that nomination? I'm curious how they.
It's Pagulayan is the one listed.
Okay. There are,
at least according to Wikipedia,
6 artists credited.
Wow.
Probably because there may be backups or fillers.
So yeah, I have a disclaimer for this book that I'm going to go through.
Disclaimer time.
My disclaimer time. I do not enjoy anti-heroes. I find the anti-hero genre to be, for personally, and I know plenty of intelligent, smart, fascinating, funny, clever people who love anti-heroes. I'm not an anti-hero fan. The Punisher bores me. These characters don't do anything for me. I feel like there's oftentimes an intrinsic love of the anti-hero that exists in a lot of comic book fans for the fact that they expose some of the intrinsic fallibility of the notion of a costume vigilante. Like, what's wrong with Batman? Like, we all kind of know what's wrong with Batman and the Flash and the Superman, that you can't actually have people running around in spandex.
What you're saying is,
and
like,
the anti-hero is just a way of exposing a lot of the obvious contradictions and difficulty and moral difficulties with putting such a bland morality against such a complex reality, but at the same time doing it in a way that doesn't actually offer any insight or solution to it. It's just yelling.
So
it's yelling, penis at a guy who's not wearing any pants. I mean, like, it's always been. I've always felt it's kind of the original trolling of Superman or Batman is going like Batman is morally conflicted and actually like a bad person for not shooting people. And like, you can think that, and that's fine, but like, it doesn't actually fix or change anything. You've just basically come out and said, on a certain level, all superheroes are kind of mass murderers, so let's make a mass murderer book.
Yeah.
And you're
Well,
like,
I think that's a really interesting
yeah.
perspective, in part because it comes down to, like, you can have the Punisher sort of say to Daredevil, say, like, your measures aren't extreme enough, and depending on the book's perspective on it, like, what different is the book or story sort of claiming that Punisher is right? And that's the thing, because Punisher can say that and be sort of the anti-hero on the edges of a story who shows you the boundaries of your main hero's morality.
And
or
this
he
is when
can
they
be
work.
in the hands of somebody saying, like, no, this is the more accurate and realistic perspective. You guys are deluded and naive, which of course is what Punisher thinks. But
Which is
that's not
ironic
where
then
come
when you
down.
look, of course, is that you can step back from that perspective and realize that version of Punisher is calling everybody else deluded and naive is in itself even more deluded and naive.
Yeah.
Further down, and it's just this unending spiral of like, well, it's a fictitious tale about things that are supposed to represent something. So of course it's a little, we can debate the science of the three little pigs and which house would have really withstood the breath of a wolf. But that doesn't
money's
add
on
anything
bricks.
to
I don't know,
that doesn't add anything. It doesn't teach anything.
But you were saying
Deathstroke, on the other hand, did something that is so rare, which is they created and it's not even an anti-villain. They actually go into it in the book. It's a villain. He's a villain. And made him complex, made him interesting, made him deeply fallible, and gave it so much. I see why it's up on the list, because it adds so much dimension to a character that
Is a villain.
is a villain.
started life as a villain and has become quite popular as frequently an anti-hero because people are very charmed by his, like, competence and charisma.
His competence and charisma are
And
definitely...
he's just so, like, there's sort of the role, like, if you're really good at your job, you're kind of immediately likable, because, like, you've dedicated something, like, you're like, I'm the best assassin in the world. I'm kind of interested in what you do, like, it's that sort of complex.
He is the best assassin in the world, and he's also the world's worst dad. And I love, like, Batman is kind of a bad dad, but Deathstroke, and it's interesting because, like, they're compared a lot, and it's definitely, like, one of the big things that comes up in this book that I really like is Deathstroke really not liking Batman, and they kind of walk around it a lot, but he doesn't. But, like, kind of the fundamental of it is that he feels like Batman treats Robin like shit.
Yeah.
And is, like, really into this notion of like, you let me, like, kidnap your kid. Like, you could have stopped this, but I just kidnapped your kid. What is wrong with you? What are you?
You are really messed up.
You're really messed up that you're putting that you're putting a kid in a. But, like, he's like, you're putting a kid into a bright costume and telling him you're going to go out, beat up criminals, but don't kill anybody. Like, are you not? Give this kid a gun so he can protect himself. And of course, on the other end of that, he's like, you're going to get these kids killed. Is of course, Deathstroke has 2 dead kids that he's already like, through his bad parenting, like, allowed 2 of his children to die horribly, and is kind of working on a 3rd. And it's like that self-reflection of like you're not working hard enough to not be me, but at the same time,
I'm also very much you.
You're a mess, and it's such a.
The first time the villain's going, we're not so different, you and I, but he's mad about it. Like, be more different from me.
Yeah.
Like,
We're not so different, you and I. Darn you!
and he's like treating his daughter like shit, and just like watching that relationship is heartbreaking.
But
We should clarify that this
Oh,
book,
yeah.
unlike the 2
Let's
we
bring
just
it
talked
back.
about, is in a wider universe.
It is.
This book is literally about about a character from the DC universe who's been around since the new Teen Titans in the early 1980s. He's usually known as Deathstroke the Terminator. He has shown up on and off, played some important roles in big DC stories, and then sometimes had his own books.
Has a ridiculous costume.
Which has a
wonderful
Ken
costume.
Wynn drew
Yeah.
Deathstroke for us. Thank you, Ken Wynn.
From the only side that Deathstroke can see us on. That's if you were the other side,
Eye patch.
he couldn't see us.
So, yes, Deathstroke is noted for his sort of hyper-competence. He's usually a mercenary. He's like a hired gun. He's generally bad with his family.
He can one of my favorite things that he does, like, is as bad as Identity Crisis was in a lot of ways, the Deathstroke fight, I actually did really like. Like, he used a squirt gun to defeat the Atom. Like, it's just like, come on, that's kind of awesome. Like, he's like, I've got a squirt gun. All right, Adam's gun. Like,
DC's got a series of bad Batmans, of evil Batmans, and he is one of my favorite evil Batmans.
But it's difficult to write them compellingly.
Yes.
Because it's like, well, he's super smart, and he's good at hyperviolence, and if you're not doing it right,
And
it
he's
can
there
just
for
be
money.
like, then there's a bunch of explosions, and everything's cool, the end. He thought of that already. Like, you know, like, there's a bad way that this can go. And I think that's probably the reason this is on the list, is that they were sort of like, oh, there's a good way this can go.
They use the mercenary angle in a really compelling way to sort of like is like, this is a guy, he doesn't necessarily, he knows that he's not good, he's very aware, but like the money keeps him honest, and it's this whole thing of him like going, no, as long as you know who's paying you, I don't have to get caught up in the quandary of like which hostages to save. I know exactly which hostages to save. The one, like, even on like, there's like a sequence at the beginning where he's on a boat and two guys are like, please, we have families, he's gonna die, and he's just like, give me all the money in your pocket. And he just takes all their money. He's like, all right, you've just hired me. My job is to keep your family safe. That is now that is now on my contract.
That was the moment that made me be like, okay, I can I can be
like,
in for this book. Because you just found a creative, in-character way to kind of do the right thing while still being exactly who you are.
yeah.
Because he watches, he's like, that's how I defeat Batman, is I know I can pull him in 6 directions. And like, I can't get pulled in 6 directions. I'm like...
One Direction.
50
He's
people.
One Direction.
Yeah, no,
One Direction.
He is
One
a
Direction.
band of attractive young men. When they combine their powers, they form.
They're all on each other's shoulders wearing a trench coat.
Yes.
Except
And it's sort of
the trench coat is his suit.
He's built these systems into place to sort of kind of maintain control. I mean, he fails utterly. He can't maintain control, but he's convinced that he's in control.
This is his code.
That I have a code, I have a system. It keeps everything bad from nothing bad happens as long as I follow the system. But of course, everything bad happens because
it
he follows.
always falls apart.
And of course, it should not be a surprise. It is being written by Christopher Priest, who is a comic book legend. His run on Black Panther has just been recollected in 3 giant volumes, and he has been around the superhero block.
I didn't know that. I was reading through the Wikipedia stuff just to kind of like, he took a break from comics for like 10 years. This is one of the first things he's written, like, in 10 years.
I
He's
don't
like,
even know like why
he's
he's
like,
back when he was just like, you know, I got a Deathstroke in me and I need to tell it.
I
think so.
What an interesting character to decide that you were like really going to delve and like, the Rose, I was a big fan of Rose. He has a daughter. Deathstroke has a daughter that he had with a prostitute during like a war.
Antiheroes.
Yeah,
I think
but like
so, yeah.
he literally found, he went and found this kid. Like he found out this kid exists and went and found this kid and rescued her from like a shit show, and she kind of became another assassin, kind of in an attempt to gain some vague relationship with her messed up father.
As you do.
You do.
I would do the same thing.
I've always been a big fan of her. Like she was always fun as a member of the Teen Titans and her relationship with the Batman kids.
And certain canon things are tricky because we've been through a couple reboots now. But in general, like she's had the codename Ravager. She has worked with the Teen Titans.
She worked with Nightwing for a while. She trained with Nightwing and has a relationship with the Bat family. And just like even like the advice from the old family friends is she's like, they're basically doing like a weird father-daughter road trip, and like her like the old family friend being like, don't show too much emotion because it will freak him out and he'll panic, and like the whole like if you hug him he's not going to hug you back, but like when he says this is how he expresses his and it's just how cold and messed up he is, and then like just when they get on the motorcycle and like she's holding onto the back and just that moment where she's like, oh my god, physical contact with my... It's so fucked up.
It's so not right.
It breaks your heart.
It's so not right. Yeah.
It's a heartbreaking story of,
It is.
Emotional Arrested Development.
But all the Batman stuff was so good. Like, you have Clock King at the beginning.
Oh. which I'm a big fan of.
I think
I'm
a lot of,
like when I was like, wait, Clock King? All right, I'm in. Like,
And yes, this is Deathstroke
immediately,
Rebirth.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Rebirth.
goofy DC villain Clock King, who,
And he's
as
wearing,
it
like-
turns out, if you build a really nice little, very tight plot around him, where you're like, yep, there's 7 players here, and I understand how they all relate to each other, and I don't know how you did that, but good job.
You know, he's like the mousetrap of DC Universe, like the Clock King. Like if you can build that weird little mechanism for him.
Well,
he's
even like the first introduction that you get to him in this is Deathstroke looking through like some mechanical clock wheels, and then he sees Clock King looking back at him through those clock wheels. It's just like, oh, of course that's where
a
Clock
metaphor,
King is.
yeah.
Like, and like he's wearing like those loose, goofy
Pajamas.
with timepieces on.
It's
them.
like a Riddler suit, but covered. There we go. It's right
Yeah, there we are. I love.
Except way older when we first meet him.
He changes age for
He
reasons
changes
that
age,
are complicated.
throughout.
Who is the Clock King?
It's the Clock
It's
King.
not that complicated.
No, but like that was like at the beginning I was like, oh my god, I am having such a hard. And like Christopher Priest has an interesting way of writing.
There's a bit of jumping around, which will be a
Which-
little difficult to get through at the beginning. They
And
do
you
have
don't
some
really see
timeline
any
jumping.
other writers do like I don't see this conceit in a lot of other writers, but where he'll do like, the black. Like he'll title his like he has chapters within his book, so you
Yeah,
get, like,
you change decades
reruns,
sometimes
and then-
mid-page.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
little. It takes a minute to get used to.
Like even like reading the Christopher Priest's run on Black Panther, it took a couple issues for me to get used to that. Then you also
Triamas also wanted to ask if you can read Deathstroke Rebirth without knowing a lot about the DCU. I think a base knowledge of Batman.
Yeah.
You need to know kind of Batman, Robin, Nightwing. If you know who Batman, Robin, or Nightwing is in just like a general paragraph,
Yeah.
you're probably fine.
Also, let's give you this primer. Slade Wilson is Deathstroke. That's his real name. He's a military, like decorated military officer. He has been experimented on, so he has
He's a little Wolverine-y.
He's a little Wolverine-y. He has kind of a bit of a superhuman healing factor. He has like a suit that is very bulletproof, deflective, and absorbent, almost like
And he
vibranium.
upgrades during the book to like a suit that actually like absorbs kinetic energy and makes him faster. And so like the more you shoot him, the faster he gets.
Yeah, so like you get that within the book, but then you also need to know he has 2 sons.
2 sons.
I wrote their names down here 'cause
Brandon.
I can't remember.
Grant and, I want to say Grant and Brandon, but like
Grant and Joseph.
Joseph.
He has 2 kids. He's married to Adeline, who trained him in the military. At least she in New 52, but she did here.
Yeah.
And his best friend and mentor is a dude named Wintergreen.
Yeah, that's probably all you really need to know is that.
And he has a daughter named Rose. He has
And he has
an
a
illegitimate daughter named Rose.
Illegitimate daughter named Rose.
The truth is that while the opening pages of this book can be kind of disorienting because they throw this stuff at you fast, and I even during that first flashback, I was like, "Is this him? Is this was he blind?"
Which one is
like,
this? Yeah.
I was having those things, but the truth is everything you just described is actually in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're sort of like, all right, cool, they're giving me this information out of sequence, but I know that I will be able to put it together, like, it is all in there. This was designed, a lot of the Rebirth books were really designed to make sure that they're not depending on you knowing a bunch of stuff. Like, other than the fact that if you see a weird dude in clock pajamas, it's okay to read the book and just be like, this is clearly a bad dude.
Yeah.
You don't need to know anything that he says. It might be a bonus if you've read a bunch of Clock King stories and you're thinking, what an interesting use of Clock King.
like
But you
him in the
don't
animated
need to,
series.
like,
Yeah, me too.
but you shouldn't need that stuff in order to be like, all right, well, clearly I can tell who he's
No.
antagonistic with and I know who I want to win. That's all you actually need. So that's the best case scenario for these kind of things in a wider continuity.
It's a great story of a man who let his darker impulses and demons ruin his life. Like it's the story of a man who just let his baser impulses ruin everything good in his life and has no idea how to cope with it. And I'm really into it. I was not expecting to be.
Yeah.
At all.
What you said, it was like the adventures of like a really bad dad.
It's the worst dad. Like whereas Batman is kind of like in that sense is kind of like the dad who's trying to raise competent children who are happy and relatively together. Deathstroke is the other end of that, where his only notion of how to save his kids is to turn them into little versions of himself, even though he's completely broken. So he just sits there and just snaps his kids in two, and is like, they keep dying on me, and I keep failing them.
But
no
it's
matter-
strangely out of love and some weird sense of survival.
It's
like,
completely out of a desperate sense of love that is just so twisted, and not twisted, it tragically twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah, just of a person who does not know how to express any emotions properly,
Yeah.
and is spend his whole life just ruining everything.
While we're on the subject of Christopher Priest, if you're a giant Black Panther fan or you want to get ready for Black Panther, which comes out next February, his run on Black Panther, I don't know if I would say it's the definitive run, but it's a very redefining.
It'll do, yeah.
It's a very redefining run. It started in 97 or 99. It's late 90s.
Late 90s.
And it completely kind of redefined Black Panther for a newer modern audience.
So now that I've raved about Deathstroke and like awkwardly, and
Next
Rose,
on the
who's
list.
always been I've been a big fan of hers for ages. I wrote her into a fan film that
Oh!
much. Like,
And yeah,
That girl, I wrote her
art
in the back.
commentary.
Did you really?
I did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you, Zach. Art commentary on this one. There are a bunch of different artists credited on this, but they seem to have found people whose styles would mesh very well.
You don't
so it's
feel it.
not, You
Yeah.
don't. Most books, when everything changes up, it's very jarring. That's not really going to happen here. The style's sort of either going to be for you or not for you. I think this is a good sample panel.
I call it. DC tends to really they have a look for their books, and
Yeah, they have
it's
very much like a house
typical
style.
The
DC
house style doesn't always apply, but when it does, it's sort of like this. This is sort of
a little muted.
2017 superhero art, kind of. It's expressive and strong and.
And somehow they make it not too jarring that half the cast is wearing bright orange, which
Yeah.
I love.
Next on our list is Faith.
I
Faith.
forgot some of the physical copies, guys. Sorry.
That's okay.
Grab
I've
a
got.
Faith off the wall,
I was going to
so it
say,
doesn't
grab a
leave
Faith
it.
off the wall. We got him on the wall, don't we? I think we
We
got
have it
pulled
in
up
our
there.
box. Did we not pull it out today?
Oh no.
Oh no, did we ran?
Oh,
I've got the
I don't know
miniseries
where the
on mine.
box is. Yeah.
Or we can
Right.
just make Chief work really hard.
Well, I mean, I sent like
Okay, there's stuff in
copies
the
and
box.
stuff to him. So...
Friggin' Faith!
Yay!
Faith is our next nominee!
Faith, written by
Who? Chris Criswell? Did Chris Criswell write it?
Joey Hooser.
Oh my god.
Joey Hooser.
Joey Hoosier?
Joey Hooser.
Indiana, huh?
Yeah. I think played for the Cowboys, if I recall.
Oh my god! Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
No, it's a good career shift.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of see if she's gonna start
feel
yelling
it.
at us in the.
Is she yelling at us?
She's not yelling at us yet.
Oh. You're missing out, Joey.
She may be in the building.
Mom Sue says, Jody, hype.
Okay, no, she just
Aki,
literally.
hashtag who?
She just sent a shade. Okay, that's all.
Okay,
we need.
good.
Splattercat low,
Hi,
Jody
Jody.
Hoosier.
Hi, Jody.
Faith, I love any superhero books set in LA. First of all, which is why do we not get superhero books in LA?
Because until recently, none of the superhero writers lived in LA.
Well, also,
LA was where you moved when you got out of comics and wanted to make money.
Fair.
I think
So dark.
that
So true.
so New York has like the big buildings.
We don't
Yeah,
have
plus
those.
those
It's
comics, like,
darker.
the companies were in New York. Everybody lived in New York. Comics were invented in New York. There's a reason so much stuff is in New York.
We're also. I will admit, we're not a pretty city to draw.
No, because we're really not a city.
But
We're,
if people took the time to learn the neighborhoods of LA,
That's
like,
true.
I mean,
Silver
imagine
Lake or-
an action scene in Santa Monica and an action scene in Echo Park, and it, like, should look completely different.
They should.
yeah.
And there's a panel in Faith where she's flying over the 405 of the mini series where she's
Yeah.
flying over the 405 and I'm like,
I've always wanted to do that.
I feel so good just even.
Every single time I see a helicopter, I'm like, curse you. I'm stuck down here in a land of red lights, but
There's a
So
reason
they
we all
fly
want jetpacks.
yeah, we all want jetpacks.
So Faith is wish fulfillment.
But it is really fun. Like, it is fun as someone who lives in Los Angeles to read all of the Los Angeles references that they make. Like, even like it's Hollywood and Vine. Isn't that like one of the names of one of the books or something like that?
It's the name of the first collection,
Yeah.
and it's both a hilarious joke about an intersection and a hint to the setting and threat of that volume. It's kind of a spoiler to say that, but it is the intersection of that place and this world and the Valiant universe. So Faith, of course, is another of a superhero book set in a wider universe. There's a second one like that on this list, but it's very distinctive. It is taking Faith was. I'm just gonna pretend nobody has seen all the episodes where we've talked about Faith.
I think that's fair.
That's fair.
Welcome to the Wednesday Club. We talk about comics.
we talk about comics. A lot of Faith.
So there is an independent publisher. They're sort of gunning to be like the third biggest of like superhero universe that isn't Marvel or DC.
Yeah.
And their first attempt to do this was in the early '90s. Valiant Comics had characters that you might have remember from that time period if you were a comics fan. Then Ninjak and Exo Manowar, and Harbinger, which was their sort of X-Men-like book about people with powers. And one of the characters on the Harbinger team was named Faith Herbert, aka Zephyr. So the 90s run of Valiant eventually ended in the big boom and bust of the 90s. They had a sort of an attempt to relaunch, and then like a serious relaunch that began in 2012, where Valiant, I don't know how they're doing it, but they are taking the corporate strategy of getting the best people in the universe, including a lot of Jeff Lemire, by the way. Jeff Lemire's all over the Valiant universe. They're getting the best people in the universe to make their universe a thing. An interconnected, kind of living, breathing superhero universe.
And it's working.
And it's working?
It's weird. It's just working.
And what's interesting is that, like, especially since a lot of these characters were born out of the 90s, a lot of the Valiant universe can be sort of dark and gritty, which, as you know, we kind of have mixed feelings on. Because sometimes that's really wonderful and refreshing, and it's like, oh, a more realistic take on stuff, but then other times people will go crazy with it, and it's like, oh, okay, come on. Diminishing returns.
Well put.
But what's interesting is that is the tone of a lot of the Valiant universe, and it works really well. But they also have they have comedy books. They have like a variety, like personality conflicts within teams, and one of the most interesting ones of that is Faith, who, despite being written by like evil genius heartbreaker Jody Houser, who made us all cry last week on the show. Is like
you missed that.
a freaking.
I heard. Oh, the internet told me.
She's a ray of sunshine, and like she's been through some shit. She lost both of her parents in a car crash at a very young age. She like has now in her superhero life already encountered some real no good nonsense. But she maintains like an attitude of hope and possibility that is just so damn inspiring.
I don't even want to say Superman, but it is kind of a like Faith on a weird level is a grim and gritty retake on Superman that I can buy. Like it's like we want like a slightly grimmer take on Superman where Superman isn't grim, because Superman shouldn't be grim, but like giving that kind of character a lot to deal with, but still letting them be super.
How do you have that much hope in a world as dark as the Valiant universe? You do it by being Faith.
Yeah, Faith is the answer to that.
And it never feels forced, and it never feels out of place, and it is such a good meditation on positivity, which is a fascinating thing to say about a superhero book. She was developed
in the pages of the Harbinger book, and then she got her own series, and so Jody has really gotten to develop her. And the other thing that makes this series really fun is that like. It's superhero stories. It's like comic book bad guys. It's drawing on the Valiant mythology, but they're taking this happy, whimsical side of Faith. And while like the book itself is not ridiculous in the way Squirrel Girl is, where Squirrel Girl just lives in a crazy heightened Squirrel Girl world that is the best and is like
where she's talking to squirrels and the squirrels have opinions on like fashion and everything, like like computer like programming, like
hilarious adventures with Dr. Doom like is a thing that makes sense in that world even when the stakes are very high. Faith somehow lives in the Valiant universe, but has like access to this well of hilarious. Like the book has sequences of Faith daydreaming, which are illustrated by the Margaret Savage, which are unbelievably beautiful because Faith is a nerd. Faith was raised on pop culture and relates everything back to it, and for really awesome and deep reasons relating to her parents. But so she goes into these daydream sequences. And comes and like I'm trying to figure out how to get around to Chris Criswell and make it make sense.
We're aware. We're aware. The joke we made earlier on the Facebook Live was Chris Criswell, who has the power of 5 Chris's combined.
Yes.
Yes.
So Faith has Faith is a nerd, and Faith loves superhero movies, and one of her favorite actor is Chris Criswell,
who is the embodiment of Chris.
Yeah, he's all the Chris's.
He is the Chris.
Yeah.
He is the Chris.
The nexus of all Chris in the universe.
he's the red and green of Chris.
Yeah, at the bottom of the well of forever, there lies a Chris.
He's the sanctum sanctorum of Chris.
It's the Chris, the sixth infinity gem. It's time, space, reality, soul, and Chris. It's just...
Thanos wants that Chris gem.
Gotta get the Chris gem. That's the only way to defeat the. It literally is the only way to defeat the Avengers.
Yeah, on like I've got like notes on every single thing except for Faith, because in my mind I was like, well, Amy's gonna take
Sorry.
it out. No. This is not me complaining.
I
This
love
is me
this
saying,
book.
I know Amy's gonna want to take this and run. All I need to say is
Chris Criswell.
Chris Criswell. Chris Criswell. Enough said.
Enough said.
Like
I
I was
wrote
in love
about-
with this book with Chris Criswell. Like that's one of the most brilliant characters, I think. Chris Criswell.
I wrote about
love
this
it.
book for the first issue of it for the Geek and Sunday website, so I get a lot of my like spewing happiness out in that one. If you have not read, but like it can be tough to sustain energy like that, especially if you're trying for a delicate balance of the wider gritty universe and your happier hero. But and they're pulling it off.
They are. It's like, and like you would expect a book like this to Pollyanna and really hard and get like way too like forcibly cheery, and it never does. And it allows it allows the characters to look at some of the darkness in the world and not flinch. And and not ignore it, but process. There's a lot of processing it and then moving forward in a really positive way. Like we never hit that.
I'm also going to throw this out there, and I know that like we all want to live in a world where this does not need to be remarked on,
But it
because
has
does
to
not
be.
stand out. But Faith is big. Faith is a bigger woman who is a damn glamorous superhero, and that is friggin' rare, and it is amazing. And it's just, it's a thing that operates in the background of the book. It operates in the visual language of the book.
We will stop pointing it out the day that it doesn't become worth pointing out. The day
If the rest of the industry would step up and
dull,
make it, like,
we will stop pointing it out.
if the rest of you books were as interesting and daring and realistic as this one, then we wouldn't have to give it praise for this.
Yeah,
so step up, rest of the industry.
Yeah, and there are other characters in the, I really am a big fan of Gold Balls, and I love that they put Gold Balls in
This
Spider-Man.
is an X-Men character.
This is an X-Men character who can
with the worst code name, just the worst.
he's a mutant who can create
like
Gold
balls.
They're
and
like they fly through the air, like
very
balls.
much like Speedball, like Robbie Baldwin,
It's
but
like
they're
gold
just
balls.
gold balls, and he just they just ploink. Isn't it like it's poink?
They ploink. And he's great, and he was kind of a larger dude. He did like train up and get buff, but he's still a big thick guy. Like,
And then
It
there's
turns out
also
people come in different sizes,
I know.
y'all.
and there's Sebastian Druid, who was in the Secret Warriors, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Who was kind of a bigger guy, and Nick Fury was like, "You're the worst hero. You're out of the team." But secretly, he was training him in the
to be
background.
like
Like he was giving him his own montage,
that's
like,
right,
for like
Druid.
5 or 6 books.
But what's interesting is that characters who aren't skinny have tended to be allowed to be dudes more often.
Yes.
They've tended to be villainous more often. They've tended, when they are good guys, to be buffoons.
Yes,
and
very
Faith
much gold
is-
balls. Yeah.
well,
Like, Faith is funny, but
they've
she's
chilled him
also
out,
a
but-
friggin' glamorous superhero. Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, Faith works and that's actually one of the interesting things I think works with the grim and gritty Valiant universe, is that because of sort of the weird celebrity aspect of it, we can kind of have. It doesn't necessarily have to live up to that weird ideal that a lot of superheroes live up to, because we can treat superheroes more like celebrities. And while you do have the Chris's of the world, all the Chris's, thanks to a more varied reality, we actually do have people who are in the public eye of various shapes and sizes, and so we can kind of just plop superheroes into that without saying, no, they're all built like this. If I had
of
superpowers, I wouldn't get any more.
In Faith's Daydream, Faith looks like Faith, just with
Yeah.
perfect hair.
Yeah, which I think is
Which is great.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Like, yeah, in your daydreams, a wind machine can make you look amazing all the time, but you're still you.
you're still you. Yeah.
I did my hair in my head this morning, so it's a beautiful. I look like I'm in the Shi'ar Royal Guard right now. In my head.
You kind of
In my
do.
head.
So she's got a cool supporting cast as well. She's got a job working for a like.
What's the name of the company? I can't remember,
Yeah,
but
oh,
I love it.
Zipline?
Zipline.
Yeah,
Zipline.
it's so good.
Oh,
It's this
It's
like
like
BuzzFeed.
BuzzFeed. Oh god.
And
it's
kind of sort
But
of where
like,
we.
but like a
cringy.
weird sort
Like
of
weirdly in the
positive
valley?
BuzzFeed, like they're good people, you know.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like we get informed a little bit here. I feel like occasionally reading about Zipline that it's got a little bit of
a Valley
there's a
vibe,
little-
It's like Valley Village, Sherman Oaks.
possibly even in this building.
Judy knows a lot of people in this building. That's the thing. Oh, she's like.
She may be just behind the door right now.
I think she threw a House of Secrets reference in one of the it's
She
it's
did.
a very
She did.
rewarding
She
book
did.
to read if you
She
know
did.
Jodie. But she also she's drawing on a lot of she actually knows the people who've worked for BuzzFeed. She knows people who've worked here. She can pepper in all that stuff. She's a giant nerd, so she obviously has
And
just put everything that she loves into Faith.
Yeah.
And it's got some LA love, which a lot of comic books. It's very rare to. There's not a lot of books that really give LA some
It's
real
due,
love.
yeah.
And it's due.
But I love like the supporting character. Okay. Spoilers for a great
Some
thing that happens
spoilers.
on Faith. There is.
Oh, it's Mid Wilshire. I'm sorry, Jody. Yes, the blind is Mid Wilshire.
I love that. I love that Jody knows that too. Like I love that. Like this.
I worked at a store in Mid Wilshire, man. Yeah.
One of my favorite supporting characters is her coworker's girlfriend, who seems
Yes.
to know her identity.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You were not supposed to tell.
supposed
Like
to
this
know."
is a big deal." And then it is eventually revealed that the coworker has figured this out because the coworker's a cosplayer, and
Yeah.
the coworker is working on a custom Faith costume. Not the coworker, the girlfriend.
The girlfriend
is
of
a
the coworker,
cosplayer,
yeah.
and she's just like, yeah. I mean, I've just looked at thousands of pictures trying to color match and figure out how your suit is made. So yeah, I recognized you. But it's not a big
recognized
deal.
you.
I'm gonna be cool about it. Please stay in our D&D
Yeah.
game.
When I got to that, I was like, oh my god, they're bringing in cosplay. They're bringing in the love of just the general love of Chris. Like.
Well, and then that's
just
the
like-
good side
it's-
of this sort of like what I sort of poo-pooed about Grim and Gritty Universe is that in their best elements, they're like, let's bring elements of our real world in. And
Yeah.
those elements don't always have to be the dark and violent stuff.
No,
They can be
I've-
like, this is 2017.
There's
These
a
are
lot
real
of greatness
things
in
the
our world. Yeah.
As is important to point out to people, there are very few actual legitimate conversations you've ever had with a person where no one has said something that isn't even vaguely remotely funny. Like it's just not how the world is. Like, and a lot of Grim and Gritty sometimes pushes too hard in that direction, and you're like no one talks like that. No one. People in prison don't talk like that. They make jokes. You just do.
It's a way we talk.
The brain rewards you for doing it and gives you a little. I mean, like we are chemically addicted to doing it. It's gonna. The things that you're writing don't actually exist. Like even depressed people make funny. Like it's just there's
They
no.
make more funny probably.
Sometimes more.
Good
Do it-
stuff in the
Jody is yelling at us so
Why?
much.
Why is she mad at us? Jody,
She's-
what are we
oh
doing?
wow. You can't type that.
Are you?
He's
He's
just being so mean.
lying
I'm
to
so
us
sorry,
about
Jody.
chat.
I'm lying about chat.
Chad, you'll be honest with us.
Just to catch people up, we are talking about the Eisner Award nominees for Best New Series
yeah.
today, just for those. And I also know we have a couple questions about Deathstroke still that we will answer.
Oh.
Okay.
When we get to the end of the show.
When we get to the end of the show.
I'm going to catch up on a bunch of the questions people have been popping up.
Fun. Good.
Sam is calling you a troll, which is accurate.
That is fair. I am very troll-like today.
Do we have anything
Comes
else we
with the
want to
dad
say
jokes.
about Faith, or do we want to move on to our last entry, Mockingbird?
Let's
You're our Faith girl. Like,
Read Faith.
I
Bye, Faith.
love Faith. I've read like the first 2 or 3 issues of the new series. I've read the whole limited, but like you're definitely the expert.
I want some
here,
Chris.
so-
I want some Chris cosplay.
Oh my god! I want
mean,
to see some Chris Wall
Faith cosplay is great. I want a Faith and Chris. I want to see a Faith and Chris at Comic-Con. That would make me really happy. Is to see a Faith and Chris.
I
Oh,
think
please do that.
and maybe an Exo Manowar with a mustache.
I think my favorite thing about
Look,
Faith.
there's not enough mustaches. In
My
comic.
favorite thing about Faith is that she's so accessibly us.
Yes.
Like I don't want to be like, oh, you can like read Faith and identify with it, because like I don't want it to be like only
Nor do
bigger
I
girls,
nor do I
whatever,
want
like-
to say legit nerd cred, but like we all know this girl.
Yeah, we all know this girl, and I'm this girl. Like, there's
Yes,
part of
you
me
are.
that's like just super nerdy and like loves like the geeky references and like kind of almost doesn't know anything else.
Has
like,
an awkward internet job.
yeah, has awkward internet jobs. Yeah,
We all
like,
relate really hard.
Yeah.
It's a thing. But except that like you read the book, and the way you do with a lot of things, you like you're happy when things go well for her. You get very angry when things don't go well for her, and you wish that you had like as much ability to get up again as she
Yeah.
has, and as much ability to have faith in people as she does. Like
it is a testament to the positivity of nerd culture as well.
Yeah.
when we can be positive, we are like just the amount of energy that exists there.
for like all the success of all of the books that we've talked about, and for like the glowing narrative and world building and everything else that we've talked about, of all of the characters, Faith is the most relatable of all of them, to me at least. Like, I can't relate to the world's greatest assassin. Like, I can relate to him wanting to be a good dad, but Faith is like, in terms of accessibility and relatability, she's the most. So.
Yeah,
That's what I love about
Deathstroke's
it.
not about relatability. That's
No.
that's a Walter White tragedy.
Yeah.
And Clean Room is not about relatability. That's about cosmic horror.
Yeah,
And-
and Black Hammer is not about relatability. It's
No, it's.
I mean, it's got like
It's
all
got
of these
relatable
books
characters,
succeed
but-
by having really universal themes. Like
sure.
they're all about loss and loneliness and like finding your place in the world. Like
Absolutely.
there's a lot of, but yeah.
But yeah, that core, that the core heart of faith on a certain level is a much
Thanks,
more
Chief.
personal story.
Yeah.
Not that there's like again, like I love variety. Variety is the life of Spice.
This is a good category, guys.
This is
been
really
a-
good. This is
It's a good Eisner year. It's a good Eisner.
year. All right, let's move on to our last
Our last
Mockingbird.
Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Mockingbird is done by Chelsea Kane and Kate Nimachik. Is that how we're
We're
saying it?
going with it, but we don't
Kate-
know if it's right.
Nimachik.
Maybe they will find us at Comic-Con and correct us.
Nimsijik.
We're really sorry, Kate. Kate, who also, I believe, did art for an issue of Faith.
I think you're right. And Chelsea Kane, I think this is her first comic. She's a novelist, if I remember
I think
correctly.
she may have done one.
I think she did like the one shot.
But like,
But I just like copied and pasted her like bibliography. Here she did a book called Dharma Girl, Wild Child, Hippie Handbook, How to tie dye a T-shirt, flash a peace sign, and other essential skills for a carefree life.
is that a novel or?
It's a book she did. She did
it's
something
a
called the
novel.
Gretchen Lowell series, Heart Sick, Sweetheart, Evil at Heart, Night Season, and then she was named 6th best book of the year by Stephen King for Heartsick and Sweetheart. She got Amazon Mystery Thriller of 2007 for Heartsick, one of the 4 hot authors to watch for fall of 2007 by Entertainment Weekly. So, lots of books.
Regular
then-
books with no pictures.
And then she was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll take a spin at this old comic book thing.
So
That's how she sounds.
taking a spin at a comic book is one thing, but taking a spin at Mockingbird,
Yeah.
Mockingbird is a problem.
Oh,
No, like,
you're
no.
not wrong. I just can't help saying
I
that.
know, well, like Mockingbird is one of those is a Marvel character. Mockingbird is a Marvel character that came from like Generation 2 Avengers. She was an Avenger character who was
Avengers
Early-
West Coast.
like
Early 80s, yeah.
I will say like canonically mistreated on a very real and practical. It was a character that got
quick note,
battened
we are
around.
now in the
Welcome to
Marvel
Marvel.
universe. We
Marvel
have reached
universe,
the
yeah.
Marvel universe for the first time in today's discussion.
And if you were a fan of the TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Mockingbird, of course, showed up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I thought was
In a freaking awesome
Yeah,
version.
brilliantly
Adrian
well played.
Palicki, yeah.
And really, Mockingbird was a non-powered, like, shieldy agent character in a lot of Avengers. She was like a Black Widow, like one
Bobby
of those.
Morse.
Bobby Morse. Most notably married briefly to Hawkeye, who everyone should know at this point, and kind of disastrously, and then was killed off very quickly, and it was a kind of a big mess. Oh, I love that costume, man! She
Yeah,
just
they really
fucking
did,
nailed
yeah.
it, and she was so much fun to watch.
Bobby Morris.
Some thoughts about the costume, but she looks great.
It's a character, and I love that they like it's a super spy character is basically the notion of Mockingbird, who's got some.
She's a scientist and
She was a biology
special-
student and then like got like pulled into S.H.I.E.L.D., I think, by Nick Fury or something like that, and was like, you know what, I do want to be a super spy. So she's super intelligent, but also got like romanced sort of by like the whole like spy kind of thing. And I think she was initially like misunderstood as like working like as a mole for Hydra or something like that. I think she was.
There was a lot of back and
Jessica
forth and-
Drew, but like.
That's a lot. There's a lot
I-
that happens like that.
Yeah, like where she was like misunderstood, and it turned out she was working with Shield to find the mole in Shield, and
So as
Yeah,
one of the, and I
misunderstandings
found
abound.
that most of the West Coast Avengers kind of got. I love the notion of the West Coast Avengers, but
This
the book
was an
itself
offshoot
is.
team. Speaking of LA,
Yeah.
they tried to make this work, and it's one of those sort of beloved but never all that successful things. from
It's
Marvel.
really
and it
took
is
off.
and it is boy, it has not aged well.
I haven't
I'm-
revisited
yeah,
it in a long time.
I'm a fan of the notion of it, and I love what people have done with those characters. But it's definitely like it's a bit of a train wreck these
Okay.
days to go into, and very much a product of its time. And one of the victims of that
80s.
train wreck was Mockingbird, who was eventually killed off for convenience and brought back by Brian Michael Bendis, who was one of the architects of the modern Marvel Universe, loves the C-listers. It's why we've gotten a bunch of characters that were kind of mistreated in the 90s have kind of come back, and he brought her back during the Skrull invasion. and
Secret Invasion,
during
yeah.
Secret Invasion, where she's
2008.
been basically she's been held captive by the Skrulls for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And she comes back and immediately like puts to bed a whole bunch of like all that West Coast nonsense of the Hawkeye marriage, and I mean like, oh yeah, we were married, but like, come on, let's be real, you're a mess, and I can do better.
Yeah. But that being said,
He is a
there's-
mess. She's not wrong. He would agree.
She's not wrong.
she's not wrong, but there's also like I always got like this sense of like I still do love you.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there is still love between them, but they just also know that as drawn to each other as they are, they also just don't work.
I also and this is going to sound weird, there are not enough divorces in comic books, and I love. This is a great divorce. I really enjoy.
Them as exes.
Yeah, like there are X's I don't enjoy in comic books, and there's X's that I really love. And the Hawkeye Mockingbird divorce is joyous to read.
Yeah, like theirs is a relationship that is still burning to the
It is
ground.
just a mess.
I like the way. That's a good way of putting it.
The embers are still hot.
Yeah.
Because
The
the
structure has
Embers are
fallen.
still hot.
Yeah, they are still hot. There's still like a really passionate attraction, but
And
This is all background stuff.
This is all background.
this is all super bad.
And this book definitely takes its cues from the most recent Hawkeye book. I feel like it has a lot. I
Yeah,
feel like it's
absolutely.
very much a call and response to that book of.
You've heard us praise this before. The
Hawkeye
Matt
book's
Fraction written
great,
Dave
actually.
Aha drawn Hawkeye run that
we really should do like
we should probably dedicate one to it.
And I'll say I only picked up this book originally because of the cover. Like that cover happened, and then they're like, people are shitty about this cover, and I looked at the cover,
Because
I
of
laughed
the cover
out
of the
loud.
final issue?
I laughed out loud and hit click immediately.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
god.
well, I'm buying this whole thing.
well, I want to see what the deal is.
Okay,
And-
this is hilarious. Thank you, Zach.
Oh God.
Divorce you. No, you don't. I'm divorcing you.
Yeah.
Comics.
Oh,
Love
mom.
it.
Oh, dad. Why do you gotta do that way?
Good work, Doom, Chief. I always want to call him Doom.
So there's a lot of the way that this book is structured. There's a lot of meta texture to it. The same way that the Hawkeye. I'm going to start with the meta texture.
Okay.
And I've brought up a couple examples, but
And we should mention that she's been on many adventures. Since Bendis brought her back, she's had like the best years of her storytelling life.
by far.
And at one point was running around with one of the different groups of Avengers and got very seriously injured and got herself saved via a weird like chemical cocktail. Which included super soldier serum and infinity formula, which Marvel readers will know as two substances that help to account for Marvel history but have
The Reese's Pieces of
unintended effects.
superpowers in the Marvel
Yep.
universe.
Super Soldier Serum, of course, you'll associate with Captain America, and Infinity Formula in the comics is the reason we have a Nick Fury who's just been around for 50 years.
Ever, yeah.
That and LMDs.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So many
LMDs.
And
LMDs.
that's
Yeah,
a
they've
whole
changed
other
the story
episode.
a couple times, but
Yeah.
traditionally Infinity Formula is
There's a few characters who don't age at normal speed, and there's like a few different Infinity formulas that do that.
So that question is now, is Mockingbird a superhero as opposed to just a super spy? Like, super spy meaning very competent. Is she now someone with powers, and what does that mean? That's this is the background for this new book.
And one of the things that the Hawkeye book does that I really like is there's a lot of meta textures. They use a lot of tricky, acrobatic panel systems and throwbacks to old Marvel stories. And here's one of these panels, and the art in this book is gorgeous.
Yes.
It's very
It's
well
clean
done.
and vibrant, and you want it to be animated. I know, I'm like, this is like so useful. So like one of the things they do here, and we'll go to the main cam, is that they reference pages of a book that used to be called, it was like the Complete Handbook to the Marvel Universe.
Oh my god, I love
And
this.
you can see in the corner, like, it's like they've got these like little turnarounds as they're talking about characters that show up in the book. And this will make any Marvel nerd like giggle, is like, because these, you would collect these when you were a kid. They had books of these of every character you wanted to know.
Yeah.
And so that these just pop up as panels in the book. And another one that I'll really quickly bring up too. And I love this kind of storytelling.
It's really fun. You'll remember that Squirrel Girl has her Deadpool training cards for learning supervillains, but this is funny because there is, in our world, the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, a thing you can actually go out and get and buy.
And I love, like, there's a whole page called the Ghost Cowboy Stalker X Plan Flowchart number 3B. And, like, there's a whole page just dedicated to, like, her internal plan of what to do when this character shows up. And just, it's a flowchart. There's an entire page
It's
of
an
this
actual
book
flowchart, yeah.
You'll get some writers who come in from other media struggle with the transition to comics. I would say Chelsea Kane is not one of them.
No.
And instead it sort of goes, okay, how is this different from my other work, and what fun can I have as a result?
Really,
Yeah.
and really, like revel in the freedom of it.
Yeah.
Although this one does the same thing in many ways. When you were commenting on Christopher Priest jumping around in timelines, that's an integral part of this particular run, is that she's telling the story non-chronologically.
Yes.
The first five, the last couple.
And non-chronological storytelling is something you learn working in television. And it's like one of those things that as a television writer you get very, very used to the notion of building your story not necessarily in a chronological fashion, but it's not a big thing in comic book storytelling. I think you can see a lot of the people who have novel experience or television experience coming in with these tools that just, I think a lot of like traditional comic book writers just don't think about breaking that kind of narrative, just because it's complicated when you're going panel by panel. There's so much time involved in the storytelling for comic books that the panels themselves are this movement in time, that the notion of like hitting that with a hammer is a little daunting.
The risk of confusion can be high if you're jumping around too quickly.
Absolutely.
If you spend one page in this decade and one page in this one,
Or
it
half
can.
even for like the Deathstroke book. Like, wow.
Yeah.
It's so and like. I would say you're very right on general principle, although because comics is huge and tons of people have done tons of things, there are so many interesting examples of the different ways that people have tried to handle this problem, sometimes with different art styles for the flashbacks, sometimes noting them with different panel borders, sometimes just captioning them and saying do your best.
Yeah. Flashback.
Meanwhile, in another book,
you can have, like, it's an advantage you have in comics is that you can put a little box in the corner that says 5 months ago.
Yeah.
It means that you're now connecting, you have to limit how much you're asking people to keep track of in terms of, like, 3 days after 5 months ago, 2 days before 3 days after 5 months ago. You're either having fun with that or you're losing your audience. Anyway, that's just there's an interesting history to sequential.
And I'm going to say that this book and the Deathstroke book have a lot in common. That they are definitely, I feel like they're two sides.
Their tones are so different, but their tools are so similar.
Yeah. And they're two sides of the, like, on a weird level, those characters have a lot in common. Is you have this super spy and you have a super assassin who are both kind of like figuring out who they are and going through this like this weird.
And whether they can have a regular life.
But
what
like
even
on a
that would
very
look like.
much deeper character level than just like this base. Like, I'm a super spy. Life is hard. Like,
Yeah,
it's like
it's
she's dealing with like
it's
her
not a
relationship
sitcom,
issues
it's a Netflix
and, like,
series.
Yeah.
Today on Good at Your Jobs and Bad at Everything Else.
Yes.
It's Deathstroke and Mockingbird.
Yes. Well done. Well done, Dallen.
That is the essence of these two books, is good at your job and bad at everything else.
Yeah, like she's burned so many, like, it's not even that she's burned the relationship. Like, she's just been in a lot of bad relationships, whether it's her fault or not. It's just like, she has a lot of bad relationships.
She's a grown woman, which means you have some history.
Exactly.
Which means you have some wreckage.
And you're a professional liar. And I'm like, literally, you are a professional. You get paid to be full of shit about every aspect of your reality, and then kill people. I mean, like, she's got a lot of baggage. But she's coming at it from a place of positivity, whereas Deathstroke is coming at it from a place of abject failure, which is, I mean, like, it is definitely Weeds versus Breaking Bad. Like, it is just this very.
That's a good way to put
it. You can see some of that difference in the fact that the art, while both of these have excellent art, the styles are very different.
Very different. Well, and like the Mockingbird, I'm pointing it as if we have it. The
I'm
Mockingbird
sorry,
comic.
I should have
have it
done
on my iPad.
It's not on you. They're like, she's like Chelsea, like we were saying, is very much having fun. Like in the first 5 issues of the book, one of the things that I loved is that the first book is like it's a tour through the next 4 books, and like it's like. And
the first issue is a tour through the next.
Yeah, and she even says at the end of that first issue, like a sort of a letter to the reader, like. By the way, this is intended to be reread a few other times because, like, I want you to go read the second book, then come back and read this one. I want you to reread all of these because this one book will connect to the next 4 books and will help enrich the story that much more. And she was right. But one of the things that they did was, like, she has to keep going back to the Shield Medical Facility. And the artist did one of my favorite things that they, kind of a Wes Anderson approach to set design where it's just like, here's the building, and here are the things inside of it. And if you look in the building, you can see all sorts of little bitty Easter eggs, like Howard the Duck is in this tiny little corner. Right there, yeah.
I love that. That's
What
such a
is
great.
Tony reading?
What is Tony?
Tony
What
reading?
is Hercules eating?
I think we get a better shot of it in the next panel, maybe, but
Yeah, I remember seeing it.
gonorrhea?
Oh no! Oh, that's.
It's it's question mark. He's just reading the brochure. Nobody's saying anything.
That makes me so happy.
But he's in a Shield waiting room, and he's just reading whatever happens to be lying around.
And it happens to be a pamphlet.
But every single issue starts with her in a waiting room wearing a different outfit from the adventure that she was just on, and then you find out what those adventures were from the first book. So you're like, why is she in leather with spikes? Oh, I find out 3 issues later, and it's every single issue is a great read, but every single issue has so much fun with the set design and the art design.
I'll also
and
say
it's bright and shiny and fun and wonderful, and
they've managed
And
to
action is good.
And they've managed to give
great.
her a version of her costume that I'm a really big fan of what they finally did for the
Mockingbird has
redesign.
had some costume
She's had
struggles.
some costume struggles. That is not her
I love
costume,
that.
but that's a great.
It's brain matter. I read a book, and they keep marking on oh, her sarcasm has increased, and it's a medical symptom that her sarcasm keeps going up. Yeah.
They're looking for side effects from the weird stuff that she got exposed to, the various formulas. So they're keeping track of her. But them keeping track of her is our framing device for getting a look at her life, which is being interrupted at random points by this call to come back in and check in with S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's wonderful. It's using that storyline as structure and then playing within that structure by saying, okay, what was she doing when she got this call? What's it like to be Bobby Morse? What was this morning like? Why are there quirks?
And then you get to the last 2 issues, which I think are 2 of my they are a romp.
Yeah.
It is like reading a screwball comedy in comic form. Just in the best, and I mean that is the best way possible. It's a classic comedy, 1940s, wacky, but just
It's
the best.
fantastic.
I loved it. I think
This book has been canceled, side note. It ended with issue 8.
the controversial cover.
It shouldn't have ever been.
It's it's ridiculous.
No, I'm not saying
only in
it
the
wasn't
world we live in
canceled
now.
because of the
Yeah,
controversial
No.
cover. It was already canceled.
Yeah.
But the book that was the
By
final
an
book happened to be the controversial one.
Interesting twist of fate. The cover for the final book is the one that you may have seen around, which is just her, because this is sort of an ocean-going adventure. She's in this cover-up T-shirt in front of the ocean. Yes. And it
There we
says,
are.
ask me about my feminist agenda, which is a real T-shirt a lot of people own, although I think the original says, ask me about my radical feminist agenda. So they toned it down to
They
make sort of a
toned it down,
gentle
yeah.
joke for this cover. And the internet.
and then the interneted all over it.
Chelsea Kane, who of course is a newcomer to the comics world, from I don't know her, but the general account was that when you're a novelist, apparently the kinds of angry letters you get are different or less frequent or less
Certainly
vitriolic
longer.
or-
Certainly
Yeah.
longer and probably with much bigger words.
I'm sure
Seemingly
that there's
educated.
there can be bad fan experiences in every industry and every segment of the industry, but as an introduction into the particular set of issues we have in comics, it was not a pleasant experience for Chelsea Kane,
Yeah.
who it's when someone comes into comics this talented, maybe we could be nice to them.
Please?
Maybe we could make them want to make more comics.
Let's not get carried away here. No, let's one step at a time. I'm so sorry.
But all of this, at least the book made enough of an impression to
It did.
get itself an Eisner nomination.
And
And
it's-
interestingly, because it wasn't supposed to, because it was canceled, it's not in the limited series category. There
Yeah.
are limited series books that went more issues than this, but this was in Best New Series because it was supposed to be an ongoing
series. Was it canceled because of poor sales or?
I think in general,
Just in general
they
poor sales,
just
yeah.
struggle to find. There's an ongoing conversation in the background about different types of books reaching different types of readership and which are the most useful metrics. And part of it is that we are all dealing with a certain level of guesswork because unlike movies, there aren't real public figures on say how many people picked up a trade paperback.
Sure, and the comic book industry is having the same thing that happened to the television industry a few years ago, where the metrics that they were using just don't work anymore, and so they're getting to that point where they'll cancel a book for low readership, and then 3 months later come in and say, but the money we've been making on that book doesn't match the readership. What are we doing wrong? And so they're kind of shotgunning so much that they're using a shotgun to blast 50 books out there, and then they use a shotgun to kill 50 books. And it's creating a lot of static.
It doesn't particularly in the wider history, in the last 10 years of comics. I just changed my frame 100 times, but
I'm with you.
there's a sort of conventional wisdom. If you are launching a solo title for someone who has not had much opportunity to carry their own solo title, usually you try to get some kind of superstar writer or a superstar artist, or it's a superstar character.
And give it 12
If
issues.
you don't have several of those, well, what I'm saying is that a book like this is a risk in the comic book marketplace by definition.
Oh yes, huge.
Because the same thing was said about like when Kelly Sue launched Captain Marvel in 2012. Kelly Sue was already kind of a big name to some of us, but she wasn't sort of the industry titan that we kind of think
That
of
we
now.
know her to be now. Yeah.
And she was working with a relatively new artist named Dexter Soy on Carol Danvers, who had her own book, but was not at the time especially considered an A-lister. Like every time you do this, it is a risk because people like deciding how to spend their money and looking at 75 different Marvel books, you need something to get them to give you a chance. And so, like, there was always a lot of risk that this book was not going to hit issue 57.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying is that, like, with Kelly Sue, Marvel was like, you know what? Captain Marvel could be a big character. Let's take a chance. Let's give it to Kelly Sue and see what happens. And it's like, we got the Carol Cores. And Marvel's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, Captain Marvel's taken off. Huge success. We did it right. But then they do Mockingbird. They're like, hey, you know what? This worked with Carol Danvers and Captain Marvel. Let's try it again. Let's see if we can get the Bobby Band or the Mockingbird Militia. And it.
I think it's.
I just want to like. Is that what we were saying?
I think the idea would be that like if it. I'm speculating about information we don't have. But if the sales were not high enough on those issues to justify it, they probably decided that their calculated risk on this one, that like maybe the book was too early, didn't like was ahead of its time. Like not everything finds its audience. Anyone who's loved a cult TV show that gets canceled knows exactly what we're talking about. Where it's like, I feel like more people would have loved this show, but for some reason it didn't bring in the numbers that the people paying the money for it wanted, and we lose that.
Like I'm thinking
and we
like
hope
Ben
that they go
Stiller's
on to other
show,
work.
like where it was like
Firefly.
he got one season
Didn't
and
even
was
get a whole
nominated
season.
for an Emmy.
He's saying
You know,
Ben Stiller shows.
Ben
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Ben Stiller. I mean, like there's a lot, and I think that this book exists because the character made an appearance on Agents of Shield. I think this was a hey, there's a whole
Possibly.
bunch of TV viewers who now know who Mockingbird
Does
is.
the timeline work?
Let's get one developed. It
Approximately.
more or less works.
It more or
And
less
there,
matches
I'll
up.
also say that there was a lot of talk on whether or not like she was going to keep being on the show or not being on the show. Whether,
Yeah.
like, and I know that.
She almost got her own.
And I also know that Marvel Comics is probably not talking to Marvel TV, so it's definitely. I don't think that line of communication is super clear. I also think that they're getting better at figuring out that you can do a 12-issue miniseries and it's a better calculated risk because then if it's a huge hit like Vision, you can do another 12-issue miniseries.
Yeah, and
And
the hope would be like the trade paperbacks, the 2 volumes that collect Mockingbird are still out there. And the thing is, if enough people buy them,
They'll
and
do
if
more.
they can talk the team into doing it, we might get a second run.
Yeah.
Like that's not an official statement on behalf of anyone because I don't know any of the
So
people
go talk to
involved.
Marvel.
But like the idea is there's some argument to be made. Like if the cold realist take is that not enough people bought it, the optimistic take is maybe like in collected edition sales, which are more popular with
By far.
like which and growing in popularity, like a large segment of readers, especially people who started reading in the last 10 years, prefer to read that way.
Yeah.
And they're for reasons of just the industry doesn't change overnight, the business model doesn't change overnight. We still base a lot of things on like the first round of retailers pre-ordering their trade paperbacks. That will like that's why you get cancellations for things like 3-4 issues in, because you get the sales returns on the first couple issues and you get the pre-orders for the trades.
Yeah.
And those are months before anyone has had a chance to walk by a shelf, see this, and pick it up. Months before that happens, comic book stores have already decided how many they're guessing they're going to need.
Let alone
bit
buy it on the
speculative,
internet.
And the thing is that these books are not returnable, so comic shops tend to order conservatively, hope they sell out, and have to go back for more. But if you come in and every comic book store on Earth said, we'll take 2 of these, I hope we need more, as opposed to we definitely need 15 or 25 or 50, that's going to be like whatever crazy calculus of numbers
That's the
comes
bigger
in,
metric.
they're saying, all right, we're pulling the plug on this.
And the systems-
And if it's a kind of book that people were going to find and put on their best of lists and get nominated for awards, the whole thing has already been in motion for months before any of that can happen.
Yeah.
And this is
No, and
turning
it's
into an
and
industry,
it's a
right? But,
system that's changing, and I think it's a whole episode that we can do about how these things. I mean, like it is a whole episode.
Well, we've got 15
yeah.
minutes left.
I want to bring a
We
few
didn't even
things.
talk. The later issues are a Joko Cruise riff, and it's full of all our nerd friends and the double clicks.
Oh my
in it.
god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, that's like always like this is one of the greatest comics I've ever read. Go if you do
so much
not
fun.
for some reason have time to read the first 6 issues of Mockingbird, just go find 7 and 8. It's so good. It's so fun. It is a very, very fun read.
We have a bunch of fun questions, by the way, that we should probably like.
Do it.
This one comes from Ian Outlaw, which is which of the books, despite the books that we've talked about today, do we have a particular pick for what's going to win?
I don't want to do that.
I don't really ever think that way.
This would be a more interesting show if we were willing to commit ourselves to guesses and picks, but I don't want to.
My version of this question that I read in my head was: Is there something that you feel like should have been on this list that wasn't?
Ooh.
Which I know I'm taking your question and kind of like threading it through weird, but like I don't pick winners because I'm on a certain level I'm not interested in the winner.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the
nomination.
in the
'cause
nominations
it's a
are
fun
far more
list of
interesting for me.
reads, Yeah.
The winner is trivia. The nominations are a distillery. So,
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Granted, we started this by reading the past winners, not the past
Not
nominations.
well, we couldn't find.
couldn't find
we
them.
couldn't
I wanted
find them.
Eisner, fix your website.
Okay, yeah.
Eisner, I just talked to you like you're a person. You unfortunately
We're
have
not
passed
mad.
away,
We love
Will
you.
Eisner, and you are not responsible for the website sins of the awards that bear your name.
Yeah, of any continuing series, like I feel like this is a I mean, like there's always stuff that I'm really digging, but like
Yeah, I
like,
can't, like off the top of my head, like
I'm going to spend the next 2 weeks coming up with cool nominees for this category. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks for my
no,
question
it's,
that I'm not prepared for. What's new and I'm totally in love with this year?
new.
It's probably would be in Best Limited, but the Slam, the roller derby comic from Boombox, totally has my heart. Motor Crush has my
No,
heart.
I just picked it out. I haven't read it yet. I'm really excited.
Turns out sports comics?
Sports comics.
But they're real good.
I'm back to Archie. The Betty and Veronica book has been rocking my world.
Nice.
Yeah, like Betty and Veronica, very high.
I
on my
love-
list.
I
And the
loved
Jughead
Archie and
miniseries. with Sabrina the Teenage
Sabrina.
Witch. It's like
Sabrina. All day Sabrina.
there.
I love
I
Sabrina.
don't know what year the first issue of that came out in, so it may have
I
already
don't know.
missed its
I don't
window.
know. But like, I just
Because
started
they're
reading
slow.
it this year,
But
and
we're
I love
looking
it.
at like
so.
things that had first issues. And do you guys have any picks? What are your picks?
Yeah, you can guys. Oh, in the meantime, this is a question
Dark
from
Ivan says Jodie Hauser should win, and look, I'm trying to pretend to be objective. But-
We're trying. You know what? Like, there's a part of me. Like, I was thinking about this as I was driving in. And I was like, should I ask the question? Like, we all want Jodie to win. So do we like pull her out of the equation and say, obviously, we all want Jodie to win?
I always want my friends. I've got a bunch of friends
So-
up for nominations. I want them to win, but I'm just honestly happy that they're nominated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blame Carla asks, how much has the popularity of superhero movies and TV series changed what comic titles are being run? Completely.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, what?
Blame Carla. Good, Carla. How much has the popularity of superhero movies and TV series changed what comic titles are being run and produced? A lot.
It changes over time, but part of it is the very real, like, something that was, if you had a Mockingbird pitch in 1997, it might be a hard sell to convince them to spend money putting your book out because they would be very worried that no one will know who that is. If there is a very popular TV show watched by millions of people that just introduced the character of Mockingbird and you have a dynamite Mockingbird pitch, it would not make a lot of business sense for them to, like,
Say no.
not take that into account. Where
it's-
they're like, ooh, this is an opportunity because suddenly people know who that is.
Also, a fascinating positive thing that this has done, and people don't realize, or oftentimes people who don't really think about these things realize, is both of the two major comic book superhero publishers, DC and Marvel, are owned or affiliated with movie studios.
As of whenever Disney bought Marvel.
Yeah.
Don't let
Disney
you
owns
say.
Marvel, Warner Brothers
2012?
owns DC.
I think so.
Because of that, one of the things that these comic book companies do that is really valuable, it's not the comic books that Warner Brothers and Marvel are like. They don't care how much money the comic books make. That's not interesting. What they're interested in is that these companies create IP. Intellectual property generators.
IP
and
factories, yeah.
They're IP factories.
If
and
they
so,
could purely be this, then we would have a Mockingbird book that ran for 57 issues.
So
but
there's
unfortunately,
there's a
they're
certain
both.
amount there's a certain amount where there's room for experimentation. Where if you've got a character that exists in this universe and they're like, I've got a pitch, they're gonna listen to it. Like there's a lot more freedom than there used to be for bringing things back from the dead, from trying something experimental. It doesn't mean it's not going to get killed or that the sales are going to go one way or the other, but there's the notion of I could turn this into a TV series and that's worth something.
We have all presumed that this would be the effect, but do we know if it is or not?
On a certain level, it is.
How do we know that?
Talking to people, like
Okay.
just people in that reality.
I'm just
of
curious
like,
because DC's been owned by Warner Brothers since 1978, so this is not a thing that has changed. But like, exploiting more productive,
and it doesn't always, and it's not a perfect system, and it doesn't always
It might not
work.
be 78. I don't know. Sometime in the past.
Like the Iron Fist Netflix series wouldn't have happened if someone hadn't proved that you can make an Iron Fist story that's interesting and captivating. It's a shame they didn't make it.
Yeah.
But
this was he's referring to the Immortal Iron Fist run by
Immortal
Rebecca
Iron Fist, which was
Fraction, which was
which
an
was what I was
unexpected success.
really hoping to see in my
Yeah,
Netflix
that's
story.
kind of what I wanted to see. I think that
Zero
like
people
maybe
didn't want to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the proof is in like the New 52, because I think like DC saw what Marvel had done with their film, or Warner Brothers. Sorry, I think Warner Brothers was like, oh my God, Avengers, this and that. We need to do our own extended universe, but our extended universe, like Batman, is dark and gritty. People know Batman better than they know anything else. Let's put Superman in this dark and gritty universe, and then like reorient our entire comic book line to reflect a more dark and gritty universe, which is I think where the
which is
New 52
which is
came
which is
from.
kind of which is kind of
came
the
out of the fact that DC sales were like.
But
I loved
what-
a lot of the books that got canceled.
they weren't breaching the top 10 for ages.
They'd had like a 10-year downslide since.
The suggestion I'm making is
Yeah.
that because the Nolanverse did as well as it was, and because the Nolanverse was dark and gritty, the Man of Steel is a dark and gritty take on Superman that exists coincides with the New 52, which is also a dark and gritty. So
you think
it was,
they both made
it was
the
a company
outgrowths
line.
of like, because if somebody has a successful vision of Batman, it's easy to say like, oh, okay, how can I build that into something else?
Exactly.
That
So it
makes
was a
sense.
company line reorientation of everything
Sure.
DC is now dark and gritty, and we all reacted with cool. Oh, not so cool. And it took them 5 years to correct that course.
Sure, and on the same notion, you keep publishing Superman books because no matter what no matter how many people are reading Superman, you're going to be making money off Superman shirts in every corner of the globe forever.
Yeah.
And on that level, Superman will always be worth something. Some other questions. Jody Hoser?
Oh, Joey Hoser?
Says,
Who's your?
does it stress you guys out knowing I'm watching live?
Yes.
We love you.
A lot. Like this
Yeah,
is
we love
really-
you. We hope we did Faith justice.
You can listen. Don't
Send me your
look.
detailed notes later. What did I mess up?
We messed up everything. Let's see.
We love you, Jody Hoosier.
Mommy Panda asked that. We already. Will we do an episode of webcomics? Yes, eventually.
Oh, God, we got it.
we should, yeah.
Y'all saw Bad Machinery
Andrea,
in 16, right?
Andrea had some nerd questions for us. What's a LMD?
Life model decoy.
This is a Marvel Comics thing.
Whole season of
specifically
Shield.
Yeah.
associated with Shield.
It's a great way of getting out of killing people because they weren't really them; they were
Dum
robots.
Dum Dugan turns out. Been
Life
a
model decoy.
the whole time.
It's
Didn't
a
know
robot.
about it.
Life model decoy. Shield has robots
not
that
sure I
act like
accept
normal
that.
people.
No, I do not like that.
It turns out the writer of that book, life model decoy.
Yay!
Oh, who knew?
I know.
They're lifelike robots. They were used for like spy shenanigans starting in the 60s in the pages of Shield and have gone on
And
to.
then I think it was in Hickman's Secret Warriors run that you
Oh,
find
all
out
over.
like there's like a weird like extraterrestrial, almost ancient origin for the technology.
Don't hurt
Is
their
that in
pretty
his
little
Shield
heads on the other
miniseries?
side of the screen.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
It's
Yeah.
too much.
It's out there. But
it's
then
so
like they
great.
did the whole original Sin thing where you discovered that the Nick Fury that's been on Earth for like the last 15 years has been an LMD.
Jason Aaron, I love you, but I'm not sure I accept that either.
We also it's right to assume that the Deathstroke has a similar traits to the one in Suicide Squad. I think you're thinking of Deadshot from Suicide
They
Squad,
have a lot in common.
who is another assassin with one eye.
Yeah.
DCU.
We're
DCU
sorry.
has a lot of one-eyed assassins.
But Deadshot and Deathstroke are two different characters. There is
They
a
both
classic.
fight Batman a lot.
There's a classic joke that suggests because his name is Slade Wilson and he's very violent and he precedes the creation of a certain Wade Wilson by about 7 years. There is an old and unsourced joke that says like that the basis of a certain other Merc with a Mouth's name came from the joke, "Where do you do the Deathstroke? In the dead pool."
That's terrible.
It's one of those things where I'm like, there's no
terrible.
way that's how they got that name, but I can't 100% say that's not how they got that name.
That's
His
very
name
Rob
is
Liefeld.
Wade
That's a
Wilson,
very
and he's
Rob
a
Liefeld
violent
joke.
mercenary.
That's a
That is
very
very
Rob
Wade
Liefeld
Wilson.
It'd be
joke.
Rob Liefeld and Nisi, as I think of.
I can imagine
one of
him
the
telling
other of
that
them
joke.
will know whether that's
And finding it
a
very
real
funny.
thing or not. But yeah, Deadshot, Deathstroke, and Deadpool
Wow.
are 3 different dudes at 2 different companies. I've now needlessly complicated it. But
Comics.
yeah.
Needlessly complicated.
But you may know Deathstroke in a version because he is a prominent supporting cast, like in and out kind of guy on the Arrow TV show.
Especially Arrow season 2.
And Deadshot uses guns. Deathstroke uses swords.
Yeah.
And some guns.
I mean, and guns.
Yeah.
But mostly, he's
that's
more
my.
of a sword.
That's how you can remember the difference. Is Deadshot guns, Deathstroke swords, and guns.
Well, to me, like
also
Deadshot's
has,
got the sight. He's got like a
and
crazy
the
laser
arm
sight.
the arm pistols.
And Deathstroke is just
Deathstroke has the
is
patch
just
for
a
style.
Nothing.
Yeah. The patch for style.
Hey guys, Mommy Panda wanted to remind us. We heard about that Wonder Woman Conan crossover coming up.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yes,
I
Mom's
have heard
writing
about
a
it.
Wonder Woman Conan crossover.
It's
This
the
is the
book-
other side of Gale. Like when Gale's not giving you nightmares, she just wants to have like crazy, like barbarian good times and what is best in
Is
life.
she gonna do
battle.
Conan Red Sonja Wonder Woman?
I mean, that would be great.
That would be great.
Because she's
hope
also
so.
written Red Sonja.
Yes, she has.
Kill Simone, do that.
Yeah, do it. I know her Red Sonja is great.
And Aaron Lepresti's doing the art, which is great because he illustrated a big chunk of her Wonder Woman 1, and he's one of my all-time favorite artists. To work
People
on
are
Wonder
asking
Woman.
why you do not have a severed head to drink out of, and I pointed out that you have, in fact, a squirrel mug that we're putting up.
Thank you.
We will get her a
Brittany.
severed head at some point. We will work on that. And for those of you who are asking, my cool vampire name back in the America Online days was Mr. Switch. Anyway,
To the Google or the Ultimista
that's
or
so
whatever
long
you
gone.
got.
I think it's time. I think
probably
it's time to wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
this
All right.
week.
Where
Tell
can we
us your
find you?
picks for the winner, like who you want
yeah,
in this
who do you want to
category and who
win?
you think should have been in the running.
Yeah, please let us know.
Tweet us.
And we
Because
tweet
I'll go
at
read
us.
those books if I haven't.
And we will read those books. I'm Taliesin Jaffe. You can find me at Executive Goth on the internet, everywhere where it counts.
I'm Amy Dallen. You can find me at Enthusiamy. Go check out the Tumblr to see if there's a creative challenge for this week. I'm very excited.
Tumblr or Discord? Is it both?
Either way.
Either way,
The Discord led to the creation of a Tumblr. We'll explain it.
wherever you
Okay,
kids
thank
go to talk about the comics.
My name is Matt Key. I'm at the Matt Key on Twitter. Yeah. We'll see. What do we know what we're talking about next week?
We don't know.
No?
We're
We'll
gonna
figure it out,
discuss that
and
as
then
soon
we'll
as
let
the
you guys
cameras
know.
go.
We love you, everybody. Thank you for joining the Wednesday Club. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Should we just fly out of
I did. I fly.